This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. I'd like to welcome the schools from Rivers Bend, Goddard School, Merkland Elementary and Hampton Oaks Elementary. Welcome to Safari Lives. My name, Steve Falconbridge. I'm out on walk with Craig on camera, and we're on bushwalk in the African wilderness. We're surrounded by grasses, trees, and around here in the bushes are lots and lots of wild animals, and we are going to go out there and see what we can find. But because we're on foot, we don't often get too close to them, but that is the way it works. Please send through your questions with your teacher. Let us know what you'd like to know. Comments or questions are perfectly fine, 100% interactive. Our plan this afternoon is we're going to do a bit of a loop. We've just left camp, go towards the north, see if we can find some tracks of a big, scary male leopard that was around last night. And maybe we'll find him sleeping. Maybe we'll find him eating. Maybe we'll find him calling. We have no idea, but we'd like to find him. It is a beautiful afternoon. It's just over 72 degrees Fahrenheit. It is not very hot. We are going into our winter months here, but it is a few cold days. Last few days were very cold. Today is very, very nice. So I'm not alone out here in the African wilderness. There's at least two other gentlemen. Let's go to the first. Well, good afternoon, guys and girls, and welcome to the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa. And that is a marula tree with no leaves on it or fruit, because we are in winter. And my name is Ralph Kirsten, and on the camera today we've got Davy. Hello, Davy. Now, hello to all of you once again. Please don't forget to send all your questions through your teachers, because we'd love for you to join us on the largest game drive in the world. Now, today, I think I'm going to try and find some elephants, because that would be very nice for all of us to see. And it's nice and warm now, so maybe I'll head down to the Waterhole and see if they're coming down for a drink. And then after that, if I can, I'll try and find us some lions, because I know where there were some this morning. So it's all exciting and a big adventure. Are you going to join me? Come on then, let's go. Let's see what we can find. It's always exciting, isn't it? Because here in the African bush, it's all free and wild, and the animals can move and do whatever they want, but they do need to be a little bit careful sometimes, because there's lions around. There's also some leopards and some cheetahs. We saw some cheetah this morning, but well, they're very fast animals and they move very quickly, so they've disappeared now, and we'll have to try our best to find them again. But I'm sure we're going to find some exciting animals, because it's always exciting out in the bush, as I say. So, what do you want to know about the bush today? And what do you want to learn about Africa and the animals that we have here? Or what do you want to tell us about your animals in America? That's what we'd like to hear, and we'd like for you to have lots of fun this afternoon. Well, it might not be afternoon for you where you are, but it is for us. And we're waiting for that sun to go down a little bit, and that's when normally the cats, like the leopards and the lions, will be a little bit more active and walking around. For now, we've got lots of birds flying around, and we'll just see, because they also like going near to the water to go for a drink. And my friend Rafiki Dave, he's on his way to a waterhole right now, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of birds there.
Hello, boys and girls. Very nice to have you on board today. My name is David, and with me on the camera is Fug. Good afternoon, Fug. I'm sure you have been told everything. Now it's not time to talk a lot. It's time to show you game. So give me about 30 seconds, and maybe I might be the first one to show you something interesting. So come with me, and I want to take you to a waterhole where we'll always see animals. Any waterhole in Africa, in general, in the wilderness of Africa, there will be some animals living there, or there'll be animals that will come there for a drink. Most important, as my colleagues told you, we request you one small favor. you ask us as many questions as possible. If you ask us many questions, we'll show you many animals. How does that sound? If you ask us few questions, we'll show you few animals. Wow. But we'll first show you some antelope right now. Jordan, how are you? I might be telling you good morning, Jordan. This is my afternoon and it's about 3 o'clock Kenyan time here. This is, South African time is 3 o'clock, or if you use the 24-hour clock, it's 1500 hours. So it's 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. And we're just coming out, Jordan, to your first animals. And I hope you got the time. It's 3 p.m. or if you like using the 24-hour clock, it is 1500 hours. And I'm going to show you some antelopes to start with. And see how lucky you are. You got an antelope there. And that antelope is called a waterbuck. And before Jordan, I forget, I would be happy if you could tell me what time it is where you are. So that antelope is called a waterbuck, and it wants to drink, and they are called waterbuck because they are always found near water. And as you can see, it wants to have a drink. There was a small bird behind it. We'll look at it later. That's called a lapwing. But let's see. Yes, very good, Fag. So that's a bird, and also that bird is always found near water. So waterbuck, good name, and it's drinking water. Sounds good? And she's a female because she does not have any horns. And maybe we're going to show you another one that might have horns. You see this? See how lucky you kids are? So that's a fully grown one. That's a big boy and a young baby. Very good. Cassie says very nice. I think the one that was drinking most likely was the mother of this one, I would guess. But if you see this one here with horns, he is a big boy. And boys, in general, in most animals in Africa, will have horns. Almost all animals that are males or boys will have horns, but not the females. But we also have other types where both males and females will have horns, or boys and girls, in terms of animals language, will have horns. So this is a male waterbuck. So he's just looking, the baby walking away, and I think he is waiting for the mother to finish drinking. Maybe then they can go to a place together. Jordan, it's 9 a.m. Can you see the difference between your time and our time here? Two different worlds, same world, but two different times. Huge difference. And now, Fag just saw a different type of an animal, and this is an eagle. And this eagle is called the African fish eagle. It is like your bald eagle in America. They are very related and almost in the same family. But now, let's find out what tracks Steve will show you on the ground.
Yes, we do have tracks, and that is where we find them, in the sand on the ground. And this is enormous track. Just putting my knife over here, you can see the track comes all the way to the back here, all the way back. Can you see the size of it? Here's the front, and the toes are pushing there. That's why the sand has come back. And in the middle, it's a bit of a line. This is an enormous track of a giraffe, and I would think it is a male giraffe by the size. My knife is 10 centimeters, which means that this is 20 centimeters in length. Look at the size of that. That's almost as big as my shoe. We do get giraffe in the area. Tracks are what are so evident and can show us exactly what's going on. Sometimes you don't see animals, but we look at the ground and we can see their tracks, because the tracks don't lie, and then you can follow and see if you can find. So we're going to follow these tracks, because these tracks are going straight towards a little watering hole, just like that waterbuck. I have no doubt that this giraffe has probably gone there to go and drink. Patton, I've been working on Safari Live since January, but I've been in the bush for about 10 years or so, plus minus. I do forget the proper amount of time, but it just keeps dragging on and going on. It's wonderful being out here in the savannah, in the bush we call it, And the savannah, oh, see, I'm getting old. I need my stick to help me to get up again. Oh, there we go, we're up. Okay, so I've been in the bush for quite a long time, about 10 years. But we're learning every single day. Every time we go out, there's something new. And that's what's beautiful about it out here, is you can see new things all the time. New animals, new species. There's always a plant or two that's quite new. And the seasons are changing. You know, I told you we're in our winter months. Now it's starting to get dry. The water's disappearing. You saw that waterbuck drinking. That water's going to disappear soon. So all the animals start accumulating in one area. So we got these nice seasonal changes, which makes it so exciting to go through. If you watch again in January, this place is a very, very different area. It's very green. It's very hot. It's over 110 degrees Fahrenheit. We go out a lot later, so it's very hot and we sweat and we need to drink lots and lots of water. But a beautiful place to be nonetheless. Talking about keeping cool, and Craig getting stuck on a savanna bush. Let's go back to David, who is looking at the water.
Yes, I'm very near water, and if it gets pretty warm myself, me and Fag are lucky, can get in the water. And we've got two waterbucks there that are having some kind of play. And that's a boy and a girl, and when they're fully grown, they'll be able to make babies, and they make love to make babies when they're fully grown. Angelina, nice question. And you're asking, are waterbucks nice? Yes, waterbucks are nice. So long as, Angelina, you do not, get on their way, they'll have no issue with you. And so long as they don't come on your way, they will not do anything to you. So they'll just be out there, eat grass, as you can see there sometimes, then go, they have a drink, then they jump, then do their thing. So, Angelina, waterbucks are nice. And also, we got some animals that we call predators, like lions, that will eat them once in a while. William, how are you today? And you'd like to know, why do the boys need horns? Normally out here in the bush, once in a while, the boys will fight. And if they fight, they will need something to fight with. And they fight using the horns. So William is just like a soldier going to war. A soldier will always have a gun to fight. So the boys, or the males, will always use their horns to fight each other. But it's not a very good thing to fight. So even you boys in class, I'm sure you don't fight each other. But here in the wilderness, or here in the bush of Africa, sometimes the boys of animals will fight each other and they use the horns. Look at how handsome he is. We got two types of waterbucks. This particular one here, it's called the waterbuck. Or rather, it's called the common waterbuck. Common waterbuck, and it has that white ring you see on the bum. The other type is called the Defasa waterbuck, and instead of the white ring, it has like a white rump on the back. And as I said earlier, don't forget, kids, they are called waterbucks because they drink lots of water and they always stay near water. Sorry, Navarro asked what casty? Very good question. As you see a pig there, Navarro. Navarro, your question is, how do you tell if a waterbuck is hurt? Like that one you see there, Navarro. See how he's walking? Very majestic, very comfortable. But say if he was hurt, for example, Navarro, he would be walking limping. Or if you see him in one position, Navarro, without him moving, or if it's a female, is a girl, without her moving, you could tell she is either sick, or he is either sick, or he is hurt. But when you see them in that good shape, they are fat, they are looking nice. When it wants to walk, it is walking with all the four legs, then you can know it is not hurt. Fag had just seen a pig for you. I don't know where that pig went. You see, I have good eyes, but sometimes Fag has better eyes. Mason, how are you today? And you're asking what is my favorite animal? And my favorite animal, Mason, is the elephant. I love elephants because they are big, they're very huge, and they're very strong, and they're always doing something, eating. When it gets very dry here in Africa, like during winter, and there's not much water available, elephants are very clever because they dig water for the other animals. What do you think of that, Mason? So when they drink the water for themselves, they'll also let the other animals drink. If all of you saw the movie The Lion King, I'm sure you remember Pumbaa. And that's a Pumbaa. Sebastian, you're asking, do they live in a family or how many live together? You could see one, for example, what you're seeing there, that's one, and that's a boy. But when you see a mother, you might see a mother and two young ones that we call piglets, or sometimes the mother, the piglets, and the father together, being four, sometimes even up to 5 or 6 together. But more often than not, the boys tend to walk on themselves, like this one here. And then there are times you'll see the boys together forming what you call a bachelor herd or a bachelor club for boys only. How nice to see a pig walking there. And I'm sure you all saw the movie Lion King, and we call them Pumbaa, but the actual name is Waterhole. Amol, you're asking how big do they get? Some of them get very big. The fully grown males could be almost 150 pounds. You can imagine in weight, 150 pounds, maybe heavier than some of you. And then the girls could be anything, say 80 or 90 pounds in weight. That's how big they get. Some of them get very big, especially the males. And here in the African bush, we always see the boys are in general bigger than the girls, be it warthogs, the antelope you just saw, be it elephants. Most of the animals we see here, the boys in general are bigger than the girls. You can see that one there. If you'd see a girl of the same age or a female of waterbuck of the same age, she'll be slightly bit smaller in size than that waterbuck moving there. And you can see how peaceful the animals live here. All right, as that waterbuck keeps running, let's find out where Ralph is, or whether he is running, or these antelopes might want to have a little fight on each other. Let's find out what Ralph is doing.
Well, I'm on my way to some lions that I know are just nearby here. So I'm making my way slowly there. And you know what? I want to ask all of you, what do you want to know about lions? Because I'm pretty sure we're going to see some very soon. And, well, I want to know what you want to know about lions. So come on, send your questions through your teacher. Let's hear it. Tiffany, well, that's a very good question that you are asking, because there are so many different animals in South Africa, I can't even count them. From butterflies to frogs to termites and ants and little beetles that carry poo around, and, well, some little beetles that also come and sting us. So we've got bees and wasps, and we've got elephants and lions and hippopotamus, and we've got impala and springbok and oryx and all sorts. But I have to say, in mammals, like the animals that are walking around on land, we've got about 400. And that's a lot, isn't it? And we've got about the same amount in birds as well. So already that's nearly 1,000 animals, just the birds and the mammals. And that's different species. That's not all the animals alone, all by themselves. If we had to count all of those, I would be here all day. Isabel, there are very different animals all around the world. Like in America, the big animals that you'll get there, I think, are like grizzly bears, isn't it? Well, we get elephants and lions. We don't get bears here in South Africa, but you've got beautiful animals in America too, and badgers and raccoons. We don't get raccoons. What about beavers? We don't get beavers that build dams like you do. We have otters, but they don't build dams. So, very different from America to South Africa. The animals are very, very different. And some of them are predators, some of them eat meat, some of them eat grass and leaves and trees. So all of them are different in that way. So I'm going to try my best to find these lions very quickly for you. But while we're trying to find that predator, it seems David has already found one.
Yes, hopefully Ralph is going to find some lions for you kids. But look, boys and girls, we got something very different here. Lions being mammals, now we have a different type of an animal, which is a reptile. And this one is a crocodile. I'm sure you all know alligators, don't you? If you know alligators, we'll always compare the alligators to our crocodiles in Africa. But they got some differences. Look at how many teeth he got. And just notice how they have different sizes, different shapes. And if you look carefully, these teeth cannot chew anything. So these teeth are meant to cut some food and swallow. And crocodiles, in general, will always eat meat. So crocodiles are carnivores. They'll eat. If the waterbuck we saw before comes drinking water, they can catch them, or smaller types of other antelopes like the impala. Crocodile can also eat fish. So crocodiles are carnivores. So if you compare this crocodile to your alligators, one of the big difference between the two is if you look at the mouth of this one, the mouth is a bit pointed at the end, while the alligators got like a rounded mouth. That's one difference. Another important difference, if they close their mouth, the crocodile, you'll see their teeth, while alligators, you will not see their teeth. And Robert, you asked a question, which is bigger? Is it the crocodile or the alligator? I have never seen an alligator, but the crocodiles, some of them can go up to 20 feet long. So do me a favor and find out from your teachers how big or how long the alligators are, and that way we are going to know today, is it the African crocodiles that are big and long, or is it the alligators? Find out from your teachers, I'm sure they know, and tell them to tell David which is bigger or which is longer. So I just told you some of the crocodiles are 20 feet long. All right. Steve, who is on a walk, has something for you.
We've got a little flutterby, a butterfly. I think it's a black and white pied, but I'm not 100% sure. It is absolutely stunning. There's lots of them around, and it's seemingly quite late in the season, but they are very, very important. They like to feed on the flowers, and as they move from one flower to the other flower, they take little bits of pollen with them, and that is what actually helps the plant to make other plants. So it's very, very important. And then the butterfly, once it's had enough to eat, will probably lay its eggs on a plant just like that. And then we get lots of caterpillars moving around on the plant, and the caterpillars are so important food for a number of our bird species that we find around. And that's just one. There were so many around you just now, moving all over the place, pollinating these flowers. So nice to see. Very, very important for the environment to have the flowers pollinated. And when you see them yellow like this, yellow flowers means for animals or insects that are active in the daytime. When you see purple and white flowers, those are generally for insects like moths that are active at night. So the different flowers have a different color in sort of the eyes of the insect, and they're able to see them in the day and by night. And moths are more active at night, and butterflies by day. How beautiful was that little character? Ooh, my legs are a bit stiff. We did some exercise today. Jordan, I don't 100% know why they have spots, but one of the thoughts is camouflage, to blend in with the background and where they are, to sort of mix in. But he was standing out on that plant like very, very well, wasn't he? So sometimes the male looks pretty to attract the female, and the female is very bland and sort of, you can't even see her in the vegetation, so she's saved from being eaten, and he's very bright and attractive. So either it's camouflage or he's trying to look very pretty, you know, like when some of us dress up with our suits and ties and go out to try and impress the ladies. Madeline, well, very interesting. You want to know where they lay their eggs? There's lots of plants around here. So here's a very good example of a plant. And I bet you if we spent long enough on this tree, we'd probably be able to find where the eggs are laid. So the caterpillar or the butterfly will land on the leaf. Quite often they have very, very specific trees and plants that they like. They'll land on, and then underneath here they'll lay a whole lot of clump of eggs just there. And then those will stay until it starts getting a little bit wet again and the rains come. So in quite a few months' time, and then they will hatch, and out will come lots and lots of little caterpillars which will feed on all of these leaves. You can actually see this leaf over here has been fed upon by a caterpillar. Something I did when I was younger was silkworms. I wonder if you in the States have ever used silkworms. We used to do it at school. We used to give them around and give worms to each other and have them just in a little shoebox, and they would eat all mulberry leaves, and then they would go into their little cocoon and they'd come out as a moth. Very exciting. I used to absolutely love it. We used to put them in our mouth on our tongue and really scare the girls. The girls didn't like it when we put it on our tongue. I reckon you boys there like to do that. It's nice to scare girls every now and again. Talking about scary things, Ralph seems to have found one of the scariest animals in the African bush.
Well, they can be scary, guys and girls, but these lions that we've been able to find, there's 3 of them, and they're very well hidden behind the bushes. See that? Look how big their teeth are. Wow! And look at this one. He's panting because you know why? He's had quite a lot of food to eat. They actually killed a buffalo. But the buffalo is in there in the bushes, and we can actually smell it. And that one looks like it's gone to go and eat some of the meat. Juliet, well, these lions, and thank you for your question, Juliet, they like to hunt animals like buffalo, zebra, sometimes even giraffe and hippopotamus, and they can hunt waterbuck. I think David was showing you some waterbuck earlier. They can hunt those as well. So any of the bigger animals, because lions are very big, and so they need to eat a lot of meat so that they can survive. So they need to kill big animals. Sometimes they kill some small ones like little warthogs. Now, Penelope, lions have manes because it helps to protect their neck. Because male lions, or the boys and the big ones, the bigger they get, the more they want to fight with each other. So it's like a big cushion around their neck, and it does help them keep their neck safe because they don't have doctors that can look after them here in the bush. If they get injured, they need to have it. They are injured, and that's their problem. Nobody helps them, so they need to prevent or protect themselves from injuries happening. Now, Malia, that's a very good question. Why are lions yellow? They are yellow because the grass is also mostly yellow, and so they are camouflaged so that they can walk through the grass and the other animals don't see them coming, and then they can catch them without them even knowing. So that's why, because if they were blue or black, the animals would be able to see them from far away, and they would never get close enough to be able to catch them. So they're yellow for that exact reason. And look at them, they look quite fluffy, don't they? You almost want to cuddle them, but I wouldn't do that because I think they'd bite me. Now, Adrian, lions are so fast because they need to be able to catch their food, because all those animals that I said are very fast. So if they want to catch a buffalo, they need to be faster than a buffalo. If they want to catch a hippopotamus, they need to be faster than a hippopotamus. And that's why lions are very fast, because they need to be able to catch their food. And their food is very fast too, so they need to be even faster. But look at how well camouflaged they are here. They're just lying behind those bushes, and if we didn't know they were there, we would almost look straight past them, wouldn't we? It's like they're almost invisible. Look at that. You can only see the little ear. Oh, now we can see a little more. Oh, and we can see its mouth, and we can see its breathing as well. Look at that. Wow. And he's a really big animal. So these lions are having a very nice snooze. I don't want to disturb them, so we won't. Let's head you back to David and see what he's got.
Well, if the lions have a nice snooze, even the crocodile is having a snooze. I'm trying to look at eyes. I can see they are closed, but you should also look carefully. It's just looking at us slightly, then it's closing the eye. Can you see that? And if you notice now, it has shut its mouth, opening the eye slightly bit. Maybe listening to me, I don't know. But kids, if you look carefully, now you can see what I was talking about earlier, that one of the major differences between crocodiles and alligators is if the crocodiles shut their mouth, their teeth remain outside. How fun is that, kids? Can you imagine? Can you imagine you closing your mouth and you have your teeth outside? Is it not funny? Catherine, you're asking why do crocodiles have such big teeth? And that is a good question, Catherine. Because crocodiles, when they hunt or when they want to get their food, they have to bite it, and have to bite it very hard. And if it's something they need to kill or suffocate, they will need to drive those teeth inside the neck of that animal. Or if it is a fish, the moment the fish is caught by such long teeth, the fish cannot escape. So that's one of the reasons they have those long teeth. And once in a while, if they fight, they may use them to bite each other, as I was saying, for the males. So they have long teeth to hold their food and making sure their food does not escape. So the crocodile is out there because it's warming up. Unlike we human beings, who we can balance our temperatures, crocodiles cannot. Clara, you're asking what's the crocodile favorite food? Crocodiles have a big choice of food to choose from. Fish, impalas, anything in the water. But for example, where we are here, I would say its first choice of food, it normally goes for fish. So its favorite food here, it is fish. But if it gets anything else in the water, it will still eat. But where we are in this particular waterhole, they eat fish a lot. They can eat either the catfish, they can go for mudfish, and sometimes any other living organism or shrimps or any other animal that could be in the water, they could easily eat it. You notice how it got a very big belly. And I was saying, unlike we human beings that can regulate or control our body temperatures, a crocodile cannot. And that's why it is staying outside here to get as much sun as possible. Then it will be warmer when the cold comes. Very good. It will continue sleeping. It opens the eye, it closes, opens the eye, it closes. But let's find out what Steve has to tell you.
Well, we found something that is very, very smelly, and you were asking Ralph questions about what do lions eat, and now we have found ourselves an enormous pile of lion poo. Isn't that disgusting? You could clearly see all of the hair inside of there. Lions eat lots of hair when they kill an animal, especially when they're in a pride. They have no time. They have no time to wait. They just eat and eat and eat and eat, and they swallow the hair, the bone, and everything. And never ever touch this with your fingers, boys and girls, because if you do, you can get all sorts of parasites. But can you see all the fur inside of there? Lots of hair. And over here, there's a little bit of bone. A little bit of bone there, I think. It is very smelly. It's very large. Leopard Scat, which is what we call it, looks very similar, but it's far smaller. And what's very easy to identify with these predators' dung, scat, is this little pinch at the end over here. You see how it's the last bit that he just squeezed out. It's very characteristic. Hyena have got a very similar looking dung as well, but at the end it doesn't have this pinched look. It's very sort of breaks off at a very sort of rounded level. How interesting is that? We like to walk out here and talk about scat. Josiah, the best part of my job is looking at poo. That's one of the things I can do out here in the wilderness is I can show people animal dung and they get very excited. Imagine doing that in a city, going, hello everybody, come have a look at this dog poo. People are going to think you're mad, aren't you? But they pay me to talk about dung. I think that's marvelous. Marvelous. You'd think I'd be mad in any other job, but in this job, it's quite normal. But over here, before Craig steps in it, we've got more poo. And this is very, very, very different poo. This is poo that I can actually pick up. You can see it's black. It's in a big pile, isn't it? A really, really big pile. And this is essentially the Facebook of the bush. And this is the dung of impala. Let me grab some. Oh, it's still wet and sticky. That has just been dropped there by a male impala. Wet and sticky. Can you still see? Still very wet. I'm going to break one open. There we go. The impala feed on leaves and grasses, and they chew it up very, 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 very small. And I can touch this because there's no meat in it, so it's not going to cause me any harm. But the impala, they like to use a toilet like this. We call it a midden, a toilet, a Facebook of the bush, because they come along and they smell it and they get all the status updates of the females and the males in the area, just like we do. We know exactly what's going on with all our friends. That's all good. How marvelous is that? So I've done 2 segments on poo, and you're all there going very excited. Some people think I'm crazy. Well, we're going to carry on. We haven't had too much luck with finding some tracks of this male leopard, but it seems like David has found another very special aquatic animal.
All right, Kit, your luck continues, and now we've got something different. We got hippopotamus. Look at that animal that looks like a horse. Look on the face. Do you agree it looks like a horse, or you don't? If you do, the name hippopotamus was given to them by the long-time Greek people, and they would call it the seahorse or the river horse, because the face slightly bit looks like of a horse. So hippopotamus will always live in the water because their skin is very sensitive. It will go down for a couple of minutes, then come up, and as you can see there, they live in groups. You rarely see one hippo alone. It will be 2, 4, 5, sometimes even up to 20 together. and they got their eyes out so that they can see, ears out so that they can hear, and if they need to breathe, they're going to push their nose slightly bit up, breathe, then go back. See that? And you notice around their ears, they're very pink. Marek, you're asking if hippos are nice. And yes, hippos are nice, so long as you do not come on their way. But in certain areas where people have made mistakes and gone between hippos and water, when the hippos are out of water, they have been known to hurt people. So, like in the village I come from, we were educated by our parents. Make sure you'll never come between a hippo and it is home, because they live in the water. It's like their home, because when you do that, they get very angry and they feel threatened by you, and they can come and hurt you. And unfortunately, sometimes they have even been known to kill people. But so long as people behave well, there's never a problem. Hippos will come out of water in the evening. They feed out the whole night, because hippos are herbivores, or we can call them vegetarians, and then they'll come back in the morning. They remain in the water the whole day. Casey, you're wondering if hippos spend more time in or out of the water. I would say Casey is half-half, because come early morning about 6 o'clock, they're all heading back to the water. Come evening about 6 o'clock, they're all leaving the water. It could vary by 1 hour this way or 2 hours that way, but in general, it's half-half. It's very rare to see hippos out of the water during the day feeding, unless it's a cool day and the temperatures are not very high. So it's like half-half. And because they know they'll only eat at night, they have to make sure they get out and eat as much as they can. Shanton, that's a good question, and you're asking how long do hippos live? And hippos live anything between 30 to 35 years. 30 to 35 years is the average lifespan for hippos. We got a different type of hippo that called a pygmy hippo, but this particular one here live anything between 30 to 35, but there have been cases where hippos have been recorded that lived for 40 years. So 30, 35 is a good average, but there have been cases where there's a record of 40 years as a lifespan. If you look at that one carefully, you see it got marks on the back, like the skin is cracked. That sometimes happen when maybe they fight with each other and they'll always get the skin off, or you get some birds or fish that will try and eat the skin of the hippos. Let's find out what Raf has for you now.
Well, everyone, we're still with these sleeping lions. Look, you can see just a little bit of his teeth sticking out there because he's sleeping with his mouth open. That's quite funny, isn't it? I wonder what he's dreaming about. Now, Juliana, lions have got very sharp teeth. They need that so that they can actually kill the animal that they need to eat. So it's like a dog's teeth. If you see your dog's teeth a little bit bigger than that, and if you've got a little kitty cat at home, then you can see that the teeth that your little kitty cat has at home, well, they're the same as the teeth that these lions have, but much bigger. Much, much bigger than that little kitty cat's teeth. And look at him. He looks like he's maybe going to start even drooling a little bit while he's sleeping there. He's got a very fat belly now. Now, Prince, lions roar right from inside their bellies as well. So they take a deep breath and they go, ooh, ooh, ooh. I can't do it very loud now because these lions might wake up, but that's the noise that they make. Very loud. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And we can hear it from very, very far. Now, Jin, they roar so loudly because they need to tell all the other lions in all this area that they're the bosses. And they want to also let all the other animals know that they're the king of the jungle. And that's why lions roar so loud, because they are the kings of the bush out here, and everybody must know it. And that's why they tell everyone, because they are kings. And, well, it doesn't look like much of a king right now, but he's had lots of food to eat. He's had lots of meat from the buffalo, and so he's very happy with his full fat belly, sleeping soundly, and, well, it's about that time to say goodbye, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed your African safari today, and please join us again, because we really enjoyed having you on board with us. Now, for the rest of you, we're going to head you on over to David.
Very good. That was fun to have the kids, and I hope they enjoyed. And we're here and we're watching an African fish eagle. Very characteristic of them posing on top of such positions, waiting to chance for fish in the water. Just now trying to maintain his feathers. And I'm sure most of them have been packed in because of the cold that has been there for the better part of the day. And just waiting for one simple opportunity to dive in the water and pick some fish. They'll always be very patient. And fish ogres will always go in twos, or they'll always be in a pair, which would mean the other one is not very far from where we are. And quite a strategic place or position to chance for anything moving. And they're very fast. They might not seem to be doing anything now, but they have their eyes glued, on the water. And if any slight movement of fish, they'll just go and pick it up and fly with it and feed on it. We also got some Egyptian geese that were just making some loud noise. They just kept quiet at the moment. I'm sure Fark might try and find out where they are. There they are. Always water birds also found near the water. And one of the most beautiful thing I like the Egyptian geese is the eyes. Mercy, thank you. You say you love eagles. They are so majestic. Yes, eagles in general, as raptors of birds of prey, they're very majestic. Their size, how they move, how they fly, how, they get their prey, how they kill it. They are always very majestic. And African fish eagle is one good example. And it will always, like Mercy, remain there waiting for an opportunity to feed. And most fish eagles, you'll always find them near water. Very unusual. You'll see them away from water, unless, they'll be nesting somewhere, but it will not take long before coming back to water, because that's where they'll always get their food. All righty. Cecilia, that's a very good question. How would the birds get, water in the nest if they can't fly? What I would guess would happen, maybe some of the birds would just go and, for example, the fish eagle is dive in the water and maybe soak itself and go and sprinkle itself, to the young chicks. But we know for a fact there's certain birds, for example, the sandgrouse birds, the small little birds, that the males got very special feathers. After they themselves drink, they'll always dip their feathers in the water and fetch water with their feathers and fly and go feed the chicks. And they spread their wings out and feed the chicks. Or rather, they water the chicks. For the big ones, could be a bit tricky. I wouldn't imagine or have no idea how they'll do that, but I would just guess maybe that's what they'll do. Hippos, as usual, in the Chitwa Waterhole, doing their thing. That's a young one there. And it's not as cold. That's where you see most of its body part is out of the water. Otherwise, if it was, most of it will be out of the water now. Yeah, trying to get water out of its ears, as much as they have like a special membrane that helps or stops the water in getting into their eardrums. Underwater protecting the eyes, because the eyes area, if you look carefully, is a bit pinkish and the skin is rather sensitive and light there. So they need also to keep it underwater to avoid it getting sunburn. There have always been a debate, how long will the hippo take before throwing its nose up for a breath? Some people said 5 minutes. Other authorities have said 7 minutes. And I've always the best way to do it, watch particular hippo if you're not in a rush and just do a quick count. 1 second, 1 second, 2 seconds, or count 1 minute, and maybe get an average, and you can have your own, figures. Because I've seen personally hippos staying underwater for a whole 10 minutes without coming out. For instance, there's one case I saw where we had lions just next on the edge of the river, and these hippos knew there was a lot of trouble, and they could not want to take any chances. Lions have been known to go for hippos, and the hippos know the lions are not very good in water. So what do you do? Because the hippos can see underwater, stay under and don't come out. And the lions would stay there, and they waited, and the hippos survived. So what they did, they just walked under the water, walked, and came out at a different place. And when these lions looked, the hippos were gone, and that was it. So yeah, I would like always to compare that with my colleagues. Taya, I guess your question is, are the babies sleeping? Like that one there, you see that's a very young one there. They'll sometimes sleep on top or on the backs of their mothers, like there, and then because they need the protection from their mothers, they do not want. We had 2 or 3 days ago, the Nukuhuma pride of lions is a pride of lions around this area called Nukuhuma. They were here and they tried to prey on a hippo. You can imagine. So either since 2 days ago and today, the hippos are taking extra care. And chances are, if they're going to lose any one of them, it's always a baby or the very old ones, or if they have one that is injured. So the mothers here have to take a lot of care and keep their babies very close to them. Lions will always hunt anything. Destiny, you're asking, are crocs and hippos friends? In general, yes, they are always very good friends and they have no issues. But one case, maybe 1 in 100, we have seen fully grown crocs going for baby hippos. But that's a very rare occurrence. But for example, where we are now, we got hippos and we got crocs, and they have always coexisted peacefully. And I haven't seen any one particular incident here. And even the one that I'm talking about, I was told by my friend that was a huge male crocodile that sneaked on a baby hippo that was on the beach or on the side of the river, and it ate it. But that rarely happened. They are always very good friends and they relate very well. We want to move forward a little bit and show you, when we talk of crocodiles, there's one huge one that was just out in the water. Find out if it's still there. Right, Steve is on the walk and he might have an update for us.
Going to use you, eh? We've got the tracks of Kumuri. You're right here next to Gallagher Lodge. These tracks are from last night, though, so we're just trying to get a very good idea. We've got Herbie here, who, if you've not watched the show before, is unbelievable expert at tracking. And he's pointing out the tracks as we go along. And this is what he's looking at right here. There's really nothing to be seen. All you can really see there is a bit of a scuff mark in the ground. But I'm going to see if we can find this male. Well, we think it's Okumuri. He was calling last night around 8, 9 o'clock around the Juma. Was it Tingana scene? Okay, no idea. I heard a male leopard calling, and these are male leopard tracks. So we will see who we can find. Always very exciting. We've had to wait a little bit to get into the area because Gallagher Lodge is just here. We couldn't come too close to the lodge while there were still guests in, but they've now gone out, probably to go and see those lions that Ralph has been with. We're going to be walking through. This is the thick stuff. This is what leopards go for. Okay, what you got there, Herbs? Okay, so he's come down this little pathway. Yeah, there we go. That's a much clearer track. I'm going to have to get the torch out for you, though, to be able to see that. Can you see that, Craigo? Is that the right angle? There's actually now a depression in the ground, and that is from the leopard going downhill. The toes are there, and there's the back pad going downhill just like that. I think it's actually his left foot. Does it work? Does it ruin it completely? Okay, well, we're lots of hours behind this leopard, but we did a big looping, didn't come out. And what has happened before is we have seen them. They like to shelter in these little ravine. There's a leopard calling. Where's he here?
No.
He's behind us. We'll be saying freeze, so we're going to be very still. Is it just behind us? Okay, there's some Franklin's alarm calling. I'm not sure if you can hear Herbie on my mic. Okay, you might be coming directly towards his pan. So if Craig, you want to maybe come around, and let's see, maybe he's going to come. He's definitely calling. You probably didn't hear that, but very hard for me to identify exactly the direction because of this earpiece in my ear. But Herbie's got no earpiece, so he's able to get that sort of 360 degree sort of hearing. But we're going to stay right here. There's a good chance when a leopard calls like this, advertising his presence. There was Franklin's alarm calling. He's not bothered about hunting. He's moving. They don't normally call while they sit still. And he's probably going to try and quench his thirst, as he's probably been sitting around all day waiting to move. We were in there. We didn't see anything, but there might be a second leopard altogether, because these tracks are going in that direction. Herbie, what do you reckon? That could be a second leopard. Okay, well, Herbie reckons we wait just down here in this little depression, and we see. Bree, my heart rate is okay. I couldn't tell you. I need to get one of those special watches, but definitely has picked up a pace. Hearing leopards calling afoot is probably one of the most exciting things, because they're moving. I've done it many times. You hear them, even if you don't find them, there's something so special about that. But Herbie wants us to come down here so that we don't disturb. He wants me to come here. Nicole, you're a new viewer. Welcome to the show. Thank you for your questions. I'll show you. Leopard and lion tracks are very, very similar. The size is the major difference. Let me just find it in my book here. Okay, here we go. Here we get leopard tracks. And the size maximum is about 10 centimeters. But very characteristic for cats is these 3 lobes at the back, and they've got 4 toes visible. Okay, cats, and here is one in the mud, actually quite a nice picture. Cats walk on their digits, so kind of like I would be doing, like that. And then their thumb is their dew claw, is much further up on the wrist. So they don't step on that, they walk on their digits, and these are actually the pads that they're walking on. And this is probably the 3 lobe over there. They're not walking on their whole foot or their whole hand. So they're on their digits for a little bit more silent movement. And then there's the lion track, a lot bigger. You can get up to 13 centimeters in the female, and males much wider, very thick, up to 15 centimeters. But unmistakable when you see them to identify leopard and lion, the difference. You can get a bit stuck when it comes to cheetah, because cheetah tracks look very similar to that of leopard. Okay, Franklin's are still calling, but that's been squashed at the back there, like it's been put in a vise. And cheetah are the one cat you can actually see the claws in the track. moment or two. Greg's going to give you a little view there. How exciting. Hashtag I love my job. The waiting game. You need to be patient. Who's it going to be? Tingana or Komori? And Dara, you can. The female's tracks are slender. Let me show you again. Female's tracks are much smaller and much slender than males here. They're actually demonstrating it for you. Here's the female track. Only about 8 centimeters, and the hind foot can get up to 9. They're quite sort of slender there. Whereas a male's track can be a whole centimeter bigger. And see how the side toe sort of splays out over there. It's just a lot bigger. And the same goes for lion as well. The track is just far bigger. And those 2 front toes just sort of, this is bigger animal, so their track is much bigger. But it does take a bit of practice. So in the beginning, identifying just a leopard or lion track, very, very good. Takes some time. And then sometimes you find a young male, quite small, but it's splayed, so it can be quite confusing. Or you can find a lion cub. Their track looks like a male leopard track. So very, very difficult sometimes. But sometimes you find 3 or 4 or 5 walking together. You will never find 3 or 4 leopards walking together. Do you hear something, Gray? Something alarming in the bushes. Gonna do the James Hendry trick. Squirrels are alarm calling now. Franklin alarm calling, they're all over there. The band is just over this little hill here. Turn this way.
Danny Bob?
Okay, well, while we wait, let's go to David, who's got a very patient animal, but you'll come right back as soon as the action happens.
Well, we're talking earlier of how, hippos might relate with crocs and finding out whether they have a good relationship or not. This croc is barely 50 meters, or let me say 30 meters away from the hippos. And you notice he is not concerned, he is not worried about the hippos. And thank you, Fag. You see the hippos there? And there's a baby out of the water. Someone was asking about babies out of the water. And when you look carefully, there's a bird that just landed on top of it, and it is an oxpecker. It got spooked. It wasn't aware there was something on top of it until now. It wondered, what is it? Sometimes, and another one comes in that looks a bit immature, and these are what we call the red-billed oxpeckers. And sometimes you wonder, do they have a symbiotic relationship, or are the oxpeckers parasites, or do they really help the hippos? She is not very happy with that, and what she's going to do is to get in the water, and she knows once in the water, the oxpeckers will fly away. What a relationship they got, eh? Not always they go, you see, once in the water, the oxpeckers got nothing to do with the water, and after they go, oh, very good. Fag just picked a beautiful fish, he go flying, and he just landed there. Much bigger than the oxpeckers. Must have changed position, and I'm sure its partner is not very far from there. And just looking and waiting for an opportunity to get fish in the water. It's a huge waterhole, and I think this during winter will not dry. Otherwise, it could be quite a challenge for all the water animals here, and more so the hippos and the crocs. You'd imagine the hippos without water, definitely not possible. Megan, you're asking, how do hippos control their buoyancy or floating in the water? But I'll let you know, Megan, hippos do not float in water. Hippos are so heavy, and their density does not allow them to float in the water. So hippos will be either laying down at the base of the water, be it a lake or a river or any water pond they got, or they tend to walk on, on land or inside the water, but hippos do not float. But that is very interesting when you look at animals, like elephants that are huge and would comfortably be able not only to float, but swim in the water. But Megan, hippos do not float in the water. They only walk, because most of the areas the hippo are, like where you see that one there, they are always shallow. They're not very deep. I can comfortably walk through there, and maybe the water will be just on my waist, or that kind of depth. It's not very, very deep. Otherwise, hippos will not float, or they don't have the buoyancy in the water because of the density. Quite exciting when you compare hippos to ellies that would comfortably do the same, or some other antelopes, like the waterbucks that will come in the water and swim across the water, as much as, the different, the waterbucks got fur that is hollow, that would give them some great buoyancy that hippos may not have. Yeah, that's the green heron there, green-backed heron, getting a bit vocal, not for what reason. Might have been irritated by something, or maybe by so doing, it attracts maybe some fish in the water when they look what's up or who's making the noise, and then she'll just dive down and pick something, or some kind of amphibians. Maybe that's his feeding habit, maybe. But that's a green-backed heron. Pretty small in size comparing to other herons that are always huge and long, with having long necks. But they love water, these particular herons. I think it's just trying to attract some attention there, and then it might jump into something in the water there. And what a nice place, because fish sometimes have been known to come and breed at the corners of waters where they have some, little logs or branches. Or it could be trying to sneak on any other water organism, any amphibians in there. Shrimps, for example. But in carnivores, they would eat anything that would be living in the water. Still cannot stop calling, jumping from one place to the other. And my just guess is it's a way of trying to attract some food. Fantastic. I'm happy you can hear the ambience from there. Thank you, Kirsty. It's going a little low, and maybe closer to the water. A little further down. So just pauses maybe to see that it has done a good job. I have never seen them nesting. I wouldn't know where they nest, or seen their eggs or chicks. You can see their long feet to give them some good balance, and their long beaks, which they need. If they see fish, they need to strike it with their long beaks and then catch it. So the beak will act like a spear, and the neck just shoots forward. And they blend in very well with where they are. So it's not very easy for fish or would-be, prey to see them. What maybe the fish or any other organism in there could hear is just the call, maybe come out of curiosity and find out what it is, and miss seeing the heron. It's quite vocal there. If it could be other areas where we could be having, say, water snakes, we would say it could be giving some alarm call of seeing something, but if it was, it would have definitely moved away from this particular place. Sinak, how are you and how have you been? And always a pleasure to hear a question from you. And you're asking what the biggest heron either here in South Africa or in Kenya. And it's the Goliath Heron. The Goliath Heron is the largest of the herons that we have. And I would want to believe it could be the largest maybe in the whole world. I don't know the Sinak, of a bigger heron elsewhere in the world than the Goliath. But as far as I'm concerned, the Goliath is the largest or the biggest heron we got in Africa. I would guess maybe the whole world. Sinak, do you have an idea of any other heron that could be much bigger than that? I'll try and show you on a book. I'm sure you might have seen it, but I'll try and show you how the Goliath heron looks like, and its huge size. And you'll agree with me, it's one of the largest heron. Let me get it to you in the book. Very good. All right, you see number 3 there, Sinak? That's the Goliath heron. And these birds are big. They're huge, huge, huge. And you can see the size, say from the head to the feet there. And some of them will go almost to 150 centimeters in height. Huge, huge. So these are the largest herons, I guess, we have in Africa. I'm not sure about the world. And these are the largest as you go back to our small little heron there. We'll move on now. And I think we have done well for herons and find out what we may have right ahead of us. Alrighty. Always exciting to be near Waterhole. There's always good things happening. All right, let's go to Ralph, who might be having a surprise for all of us.
There is the surprise, everybody, but it's all down to Bushwalk because they were the ones tracking him and they got nice and close, and look who it is. And you can feel free to send in and tell me who it is. I'm pretty sure you guys will know. It's a very, very good-looking leopard, is this young man. Beautiful. And he's coming straight up towards us. He's going to walk just past the vehicle. And I think it was him that was calling all night last night, I think. And there he starts to go. He's just moving up the road. So that was obviously... Steve and Herbie were perfectly situated. They obviously heard him calling. And that is wonderful. Absolutely, everybody. It is Tingana indeed, the Duke of Djuma. And he is back. We heard a lot of calling around the fire last night, and it was all down to him, I think, because he's been moving and being very active around this area now. So we're going to watch him just move up that road a little bit, and then we will eventually go and move a little bit closer. But we'll just let him move off a little bit first. And the 2 local Djuma Lodge vehicles will be also obviously coming and having a look. There's some guests in the lodge as well, so they'll just be wanting to come and enjoy it too. So let's get a little bit closer. Well, thank you once again to Herbie and Steve for doing some good tracking there. Well done, guys. See how we work together as a team, huh? It's always good. And Tingana is actually my character for this week, so I'm very happy to have found him again. I'll have a little bit more to talk about at the end of the week. So that's wonderful. And now that we've caught him nice and early in the afternoon, I wonder if we'll be able to spend a nice time with him. He's also looking rather skinny, so he might go for a little hunt. Who knows? If we get lucky. So we can just spend some time with him. This is wonderful. It's a nice little bit of a change. I spent quite a lot of time with lions this morning, and nice just to get a small change. Not that I don't enjoy spending time with lions. It's just also nice to have a leopard. And this morning we had lions and cheetah, and now we've got a leopard. So you could almost say that we've got the trifecta today, and not on one drive. Now, Ravinda, leopards, well, pretty much soar for, as long as they are dominant territorial males. So they can soar, almost every single night. Obviously, when they do go hunting, they're a little bit more quiet at that time because they don't want to give away their position. So some nights it can be quiet, but we've been hearing Tingana quite regularly recently. It's almost like he's reproclaiming himself in the area, and now he's deciding to go up and into the thickets. So here comes the bundu bashing. We're going to have to follow him in there and drive and put our 4x4 in gear. There he goes. So he's just heading up nicely into there. So Rex is also with us. He's going to be following up. All right, so while we try and get nice and close in here and just see what Tingana's up to, I'm hoping for a hunt. But I want to say thanks very much to the Bushwalk team. Steve, Herbie, well done, guys.
Thank you very much. He moved away from us. We waited there for a little bit, and then we heard the alarm calls moving away, so we kept going. Ralph and Rexon came into the area. There we go. That's how it works. So we reckon Tingana was there when we were on foot originally, maybe when I was doing that segment on the lion poo. He was very interested in that. He was listening, and then after he moved off, he moved in the opposite direction, and that's when he did his call. But the reason I'm up on this termite mound is this is the most magnificent jackalberry tree, and it deserves an enormous hug. When last did you hug a tree? Because if you have not hugged a tree recently, you should go and do it. I highly recommend it. Steph does it as well. It's very good for the soul. It's an absolute beast. This one, you'd love to see a leopard up here one day. Perfect tree for a cat. And the jackalberry, one of the many sort of very important trees in the area, because it's pretty much got leaves the entire year. I've seen jackalberries lose their leaves in the matter of a day and a half, and then all of them back again. So enormous shade tree. It also provides fruit at different times of the year, so great for fruit eaters. The shade for one thing, and then you can just imagine the amount of birds and stuff that might nest in something of this size. And obviously a tree of this size has also been around for an extremely long time. Absolutely fantastic. Well, we're going to carry on, climb down off of this. Super awesome. Even though we didn't see Tingana, we were very close by the time Ralph found him. We were just following the alarm call trail. We're walking back along this pathway. It's exactly the pathway he would have come from Vuyatela Dam last night. You can see Herbie there sitting on the log. He's very excited. He's always very happy. I tell you, it's a challenge to find a leopard, and it's really, really rewarding when you find it. And I'm glad there's so many of you out there that love the old Duke, and he's made a return this week. I think it's the first time we've seen him, if I'm not mistaken. So welcome back, Tingana, and the viewers who got that on the spot pattern off the Djuma Dam cam last night. Well done. I couldn't tell you that from the tracks. Male leopard was male leopard calling. Male leopard's got a very short call. 3 or 4. Females go 7, 8, 9. Sounds very similar, maybe a little bit deeper than males, but it's very hard for us to pick that up. Females go a little bit longer. My opinion. Herbie, do you agree? Yep. Male leopards, much shorter call. Females, longer call. So that's all I know. I know we're going to have to put together a compilation for you, the difference between Tingana and Hukumuri's call. That's Craig's idea. I'm going to bust out to that every afternoon when we're cleaning camp or whatever, so we can tell who they are from the call, because I can't tell the difference. Well, it seems like Tingana is back in view of Ralph. Let's quickly go there.
Well, there is Tingana, and it looks like he might possibly be on the hunt. He has been eyeing up a couple of nyala just a little bit ahead of us, but there's some. They've just moved through a little bit. Darby spotted them, all spotted their Darby at the back, and they haven't noticed him just yet. So, as I said, there are 2 vehicles with us, but just trying to be as quiet as possible. He's having a look, so we just need to wait and see now, I think. But he's sniffing the air, looking out, and being every little bit quiet and stealth. wonderful to watch. And he is a beautiful cat, eh? Sure. Now, Karen, yeah, you can tell a little bit between male and females. The males have a much more rounded head, whereas the females seem to be a little bit more sort of pointy. And then, obviously, on the males, when they lift their tail up, you can just see the little apricots at the back very clearly with the males like that. So, just waiting. He is just clearing the thicket there. Just maybe want to just move my nose a bit across so that we can see him over there. A bit blanked in the front here. Just put my nose through like this. There he is there, just behind that thicket there. A little bit tough. Let's just see if he goes through. It is a bit tough here, folks, because he's gotten into quite a lot of thick stuff. So it's just a little bit difficult for us, and we don't really want to go around the other side, because then we could sort of disturb this whole hunt, or potential hunt that's busy unfolding here. So just need to be a little bit patient, a little bit quiet, and just watch and see what happens here. It could all explode in a minute or two. But we'll just have to wait and see. A couple of the little magpie shrikes calling near to us. Other than that, it's very quiet. The wind seems to have dropped. And he's concentrating on something there. Now, zoo tourist, yes, a leopard could definitely take down an Inyala, especially one as experienced as Tingana. He's an old master at hunting, this fellow. He's got a good few years, and he's still making his way through, hey? So this is going to be very nice to watch. I haven't seen the target that he's watching. There were some Inyala, as I said. We've just got to look at that. Look how he's going quietly through there. Just trying to make an approach. I'm just hoping, because we've got a lot of bush in front of us, I need to somehow get us a better view here. Do need to just wait and see what happens with him, because, as I say, just want to... No, he's disappeared behind that thicket. There's his tail just going in now. See if Darby can follow him in there. There he is. There he is. He's coming through. Well done, Darby. Seems to be coming through on this side. Is he still going? That's the question. Okay, we're going to follow up behind these vehicles and just get in behind them. At least then we're all moving in the same, sort of vein. We're not one going around, one going this side, so at least we can... Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is. There he is, Darby. Still slinking his way through there. Slinking. So... might just be in the right place at the right time here, everyone. There he is. Looks like he might be making an approach on something. Definitely looking like it. Don't know what he's spotted. There he is. Ooh, there's some Nyala just up ahead. Just up ahead there. So let's just see what Mr. Tingana gets up to. Alright, just want to see those Nyala just up ahead of us, and he's got his eyes on them. They seem to be carrying on feeding. They're just having a look at the vehicles. Seem to be turning and walking away, but he's just frozen. He's about, I'd say, probably 60 to 70 meters away. So he's still got a bit of ground to cover. Get quite a bit closer. But it's all a patience game now, eh? He needs to keep his cool if those nyala are not to spot him. He's definitely in hunting mode. This is awesome. Beautiful in the light there as well. Judy, I agree with you. If I see Tingana hunting, it will not only be amazing on camera, I don't think I'll ever forget it. It's awesome. Look at him go. He's just using all his muscles, keep as quiet as possible, not making a single sound. As he goes down through that thicket there, and those nyala are a little bit up ahead of us. And he's being as quiet as possible. As I say, I'm just going to keep following up just behind Rex here. And we are staying just in nice one little line. We're also working nicely as a team between the three vehicles here, trying not to disturb this as far as possible. He's definitely making an approach, eh? There he goes now through the thicket. I might go a little bit further on. Just get a little bit ahead of him. Oops, is that the nyala now spotted him? Yeah, they've spotted him now. Let's just get this side. See, he's looking at the nyala and the nyala barking at him now. They've spotted him, hey? They've spotted him. He's still moving through. Stop here for a second and just watch him. Still carrying on. There's not a ran away. I don't know if he still spotted something else and he's moving towards. I don't know if there's maybe a warthog or something here. The grass is very long. There could be any number of animals here that he's spotted. It's just going to be a vehicle passing in front there. It's just the large vehicle that's going to go. No problem, guys. There he is. Still in the thicket there. Can you see him there, Darby? There he is. Yeah, perfectly. His head in the light. It's awesome to follow this cat while he's moving through the bush here. He seems to have blown his cover though with those nyala. But let's just wait and see what he does next. He starts to move again, almost seemingly knowing that those nyala spotted him, so you need to almost just move along a little bit. And there's another alarm call. Very deep. So everyone, these vehicles, when we saw these nyala, the vehicles haven't particularly made much impact on this scenario here at all. If you look at the way that the nyala were moving sort of almost towards the vehicles, so there was no mix up with the vehicles. The nyala actually were walking towards the vehicles in the front there as Tingana was making his way, and they spotted him when he broke into the light, so they saw him there. So I pretty much think that there was not much impact there at all. And, you know, the guides here, they've been doing this, some of them for longer than I've been alive. So they do understand that obviously being in the bush, just being present, you have an impact as a human. But, you know, it's in a small way making it available for people to be able to see it. And I don't think that it ruined that hunt. But, well, I suppose, you know, you could think what you like. I just seriously don't think, in my experience, that has messed up the hunt at all. If Tingana was serious in that hunt, he would have gone for it anyway. And I don't think that those Nyala were alerted to the presence of the leopard because of the vehicles. I don't think that at all. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, we'll continue on and we'll see if we can see him continue on his hunt. Sure, he's just moving down here through the drainage line and over onto the other side. Maybe there's some other unsuspecting characters over on that side. Okay, so let me see if I can try and find Tingana here. I'm sure he's on the hunt, so this is very exciting. But let's, in the meantime, head you off to Dave at Chitwa Dam.
Yeah, we just been sitting here enjoying the birds, and now it could be time for us, excuse me, to move on. And we just seen another croc there, which is quite an unusual place. I've not been seeing crocs at that particular area. They'll always be on that island where they'll always stay and warm themselves up. But this is quite an unusual place, and half of the body is, you know, still in the water and not being out like the one we were seeing before. She could be carrying eggs or something maybe, and she wants to be quiet, because where we saw the first one is the usual place where they normally stay, but this one is staying on its own here. The other day we saw one that had like one foot was amputated, the back left foot, or missing the claws. I'm not sure it's this one or not, and I've been thinking since, is it yesterday or the day before, what might have happened to it. I've never seen a crocodile like that before. Well, things will always happen out here in the wilderness. And you notice he blends in there very well, and just looking or taking the color of mud, as much as they would not be having many predators or concerns here by the waterhole. You know, the birds moving there, lapwings, plovers. Yeah, and also the blacksmith plovers, or blacksmith lapwings, blacksmith lapwings. Always in pairs, feeding on anything in the water. Any shrimp, any water-living organism there, any insect, either floating on the water or in the water. And then they'll always have, or they'll roost not very far from the water. That's where you'll see their eggs or their chicks. Sorry, I missed a question there from Winamu.
Is it true that crocodiles' relatives are birds and dinosaurs?
Oh, sorry, Minamu. I might have missed your question. I could be having a little issue with comms. But yes, we believe birds must have come or have evolved from the dinosaurs. Well, dinosaurs to crocs and then crocs to the birds, Minamu. That's what we tend to believe here. I might have to change my position so they get better comms. But yes, Minamu, that's what we believe, that out of evolution from the dinosaurs, then maybe we came to the crocs, and then from the crocs we got the birds, and sometimes we have always called the birds flying reptiles. All right, we're going to move on and maybe change the position, and maybe my comms will get better. They're a bit faint at the moment. Rather soft. Okay. Always fantastic to be by the water and seeing what's happening by that area. There'll always be action animals, the hippos, the crocs, and all the birds, the fish eagles, the kingfishers, especially the pied kingfisher. You'll never get bored by staying by the water area. There'll always be something happening. We want to move out and chance where they can see now the big animals, so they could see any ellies around, buffaloes, or, for example, giraffes, if you're lucky. Haven't seen giraffe for quite some time. Warming up. This morning it was so cold. Feels a lot better now than this morning. And how exciting the news of Tingana. And luckily, or unfortunately, here he missed that hunt. Most likely might be lucky later tonight. All right. Let's find out what could be happening on the other side now.
Thanks, David. It is indeed your favorite watering hole, Chitwa. I remember you claiming it the first week, saying, "This is now mine." It's always a marvelous place, but we are in the Mwati drainage system, which is the drainage system that sort of flows from Vuetela watering hole all the way down to Mala Mala in the south and further and beyond. I'm not sure exactly to where, but this is the area that is sort of being contested by the two males, Ukumuri and Tingana, and we're walking down there seeing if maybe we could find another leopard this afternoon. Who knows, but also could be interesting to find all sorts of things. It is quite a productive area with regards to animal movements, and it's not that cold this afternoon. It's not too windy. There could be anything. We haven't seen too much apart from a few impala back there. But we've just been having some funny stories of Herbie was walking down here with Steph and Jandre on the TV show. He's just reminding us of some of the interesting interactions that happened with Steph and Jandre, and you can't help but laugh at how Herbie recalls the story. Elephants and lions, and this is the area where we find so much activity. Tundi was initially denning just over here. Where was she denning originally? Just around the corner, actually. That is the den site when I arrived in January. It was just in the corner there. That's where we first had her. It's a very, very busy time, and very, very accessible to us from camp. So we're wondering where she is. Last we had was yesterday, and the thoughts that are going through the mind is when Herbie and Ralph found her, they were on their way out. She was in a tree, and then when we got there, she came down the tree, but she wasn't too relaxed. She was looking in that direction. I know this morning Ralph found two of the young unkuhumas sort of pretty much exactly there. So there's a very good chance that there was some interaction between her and those two. There's no other reason for a leopard to be up a very exposed tree with no food unless she's hunting. So it's possible that those two were interacting with herself. What have you got them for? Okay. Thomas, do leopards migrate? No, they don't. Young leopards will move from their natal area into a new area as they get pushed out, especially the males. The females might stay, carve a territory out of their mother's territory, but they don't migrate. They kind of, once they've established territory, they stay, unless they become nomadic, which means that they move between territories. They don't really have a spot. But Herbie spotted a beautiful little nest in this very, very spiny, thorny river thorn, one of the acacias. There you can see the nest just at the back there. Beautifully woven ball, very characteristic of the waxbill family. And if I tried to stick my hand, just have a look at my hand going in here. Look at all the edges. It's just not possible. It's not possible. You just get caught up. So that's why they choose very, very spiny and thorny trees like this. They're ideal, just like buffalo thorns, ideal sort of spot for a bird to nest. And very, very sort of commensalistic relationship, whereby the tree is not being harmed in any way and the bird is using it as a refuge. If anything, the tree is being benefited. There goes a blue waxbill just on the edge of the road there, Craigo, just on the edge as the pathway comes down into the river. There's a blue waxbill feeding. There's a seed eater. They don't migrate either. They are very common, and we find them all around the year. I doubt that they're breeding at the moment. Beautiful. So I was talking about the tree, and if anything, the tree benefits slightly from the fact that the parents would defecate here, and there'd be a small amount of nitrogen being dropped in the soil. Not a huge amount, but that's just a small benefit this tree might find. But being an acacia, it's part of the legume family, so they do have the potential to fix nitrogen on their own, which is an enormous symbiotic relationship between a bacteria and the roots of the tree, which enable them to fix nitrogen from the atmosphere into the soil, which then benefits them. So these are very, very good trees, and it's why they can grow and be healthy all year round. Should we have a taste? It's good. It's not too tanniny. These trees are actually very tasty. A little bit taut towards the end. Yep, I'm probably messing it everywhere. But the thorns, as I've said before, are not to stop herbivores from feeding on them. They're to slow down the feeding. If I had to try and grab some of these with my lips, it's just very hard to really, one in the ear. So with the pliable lips that these herbivores have, they can get in and around, and they can nibble at these much better than I can. But by the time they're fed for about 2-3 minutes, a lot of these acacias are able to actually mobilize the anti-feedant, such as tannin, towards leaves where they're being sort of attacked, and the bitterness starts to feel on the tongue of the animal, and they'll stop feeding and move off, because the tannin binds to the protein, and animals can't digest it, so they will avoid tannin. But in the case of an elephant will just smash this down. A giraffe will just take its tongue, rip it around there like a leather belt, and just rip the leaves off. So as well as the plant is protected, evolution has allowed other animals to feed on it at random or at will. Okay, on we go. Well, we're going to keep walking through the drainage system, and who knows what we might find.
Now here we go, everyone. We're still just flanking along with Tingana. There he goes through the grass just over there. So you can see him moving up, doing a little bit of marking there, heading up towards that termite mound. I wonder if he might climb on top there and have a look, a little bit of a scan out. Let's see. So we're just following him. I don't really know where we are now. I know we've headed east from Mvubu Road, but we're in quite a thick block. I've never been here before, I don't think. That's nice. Thanks, Tingana, for taking me to a new area. Let's follow up and see if we can get a little bit up behind him. It's a bit of a game of cat and mouse, you know. Constantly, once they get into these blocks, it's actually nice with a couple of vehicles, because you know how easily you lose them just on your own. So at least, and we've got those trackers on the front seats. They can also pick a nice route to go through the bush here. So it's nice to have a team effort, and nice that the bushwalk found him, and now we're working together between the three of us here with his guests as well. Now, Kevin, obviously the ideal would be for the leopard to go hunting into the wind, but they don't always do that. You know, a lot of the time it's from the side and so on. I don't know if they actively choose to hunt into the wind. I think they possibly actively choose not to hunt with the wind, because everything then downwind of them literally knows that they're coming. So I think in that scenario, I think they choose not to do that. Oopsie, there he is. You see how easily he hides in the grass? I'll just turn sideways here, and we can just have a nice view on him just here. I don't know what he's eating there. Maybe some buffalo dung. Now I'm going to do like feeding a little bit on buffalo dung, do these guys. I just want to get my binos on it. Is it buffalo dung? Looks like it. I think it is. Whatever it is, he's licking it up, getting it into his mouth. Now what you found there, Tingana? Huh? It's obviously not that tasty, but maybe it's because it's full of sand. I don't know. There we are. Seems to have calmed down a little bit. just stopped for a little hors d'oeuvre. I don't know what he's eating. I saw him doing that the other day with some buffalo dung, so that's what I'm assuming, but I could be wrong. Could be something else. Just can't see really what he's looking at there. Can't be very nice, buddy. What are you eating? Having a full go at it. Yeah, you, Tingana, whatever it is, I think it's probably most likely unsavory. So he's, they can also, it's not putting it past them. Sometimes, especially males in a lot of different predator species, and not only predators, but other animals as well, but the males can often come up behind females' defecations and urinations, and sometimes sort of feed on it as well, but that's more so to try and find what hormones and so on are laced in there. This seems to be about eating something, and we saw Shudulu and Hukamuri doing it, feeding on the buffalo dung. It's just quite strange. And VM actually said to me, he's one of the camera operators, but he's been operating here for quite a while, and he said he's seen it quite regularly where the leopards actually eat buffalo dung. It's not something that I've seen. What are you going to get up to now? Are you going to go for a little hunt? You're going to go for a drink? You're going to saw for us? What are you going to get up to? You spotted something. Now, Eugene, the saw of a leopard, not quite the same as the roar of a lion. The saw literally sounds like a saw. If you had to use a hand saw, and you're sawing away quite slowly, so it goes like a whereas a lion call is more of a So there's your difference. Obviously, the roar of a lion is much deeper, much louder. I don't know about deeper, but much louder. Obviously, with them being such proud cats, they're spreading their call far and wide. Leopards, a little bit more innocuous, a little bit less proud as a lion. They don't want to particularly give their position away to too many lions in the area, but lions don't worry about giving their position away to anybody. Obviously, maybe some other lions at times, so they might be a little bit more quiet, like those Nkuhuma youngsters this morning. They weren't roaring or anything because there's every possibility that those Avoca males could hear where they are and come over and slaughter them. So what they do is they just do that contact calling, which is a ooh, ooh. When they don't roar and they don't want other lions to hear them, that's the kind of call that they'll do. But it's obviously not going to travel as far, so they do then need to walk rather than call. So instead of shouting for safety, they need to actually literally try and get closer to it before calling in. But at least as they go, they can do that. And if that can travel quite maybe a few hundred meters, so then at least they know in the direct vicinity none of the lions are around. If they continuously do that on a bit of a walk. See, he's starting to drool there now as well. Here's Tingana. Now he's on the move again. I wonder if he's going to go down into this drainage. He seems to keep on looking up and seeing something down there in the drainage. I'm sure there's some animals down there. There'll be some bushbuck, kuru, nyala, all sorts. So let's carry on. It's going to keep us. He's just come out right behind the vehicle. Now he's moved through a little bit again. Let's try and get up alongside him. He's keeping us on our toes, is Mr. Tingana. Oh, that's good. There we go. There he is, he's slowed up again. We'll just pop down here. There he is. Put ourselves just down here. Get you a nice view at the back. There we go. And it looks like he's going to carry on moving again. Shame, Dolly, you're going to practice your leveling here a bit. Going to keep going. Yeah, it's that time of the evening. Perfect time for him to keep moving. That's it. There he goes. All right. We'll just carry on up behind him. Slowly but surely. All right. So, let's just see. I'm hoping he goes down into this drainage, maybe find some potential prey. But while we are busy with that, it seems Rafiki Dave has got the eye in the sky.
Right, good luck Tingana, good luck Raf. But now we thought we'd do something different here, and we give you a bird's view, a bird's eye view of the area we operate from. And just look, the beauty of where we are in South Africa in the Greater Kruger National Park. Very good. Casting the final control says stunning. Look at the beauty of that wilderness. It couldn't be better. How beautiful is that? And with the sun trying to set on the western horizon and sending the last rays of it to the trees, to the open bush velds there, as you can see. Isn't that cute? Just flying over the waterhole of Chitwa. How beautiful is that? So this is what, the eagles, if they see when they're up there and when we are operating on the ground. Look at the beauty, and that Chitwa Lodge just by that waterhole there. And what a great job FAG is doing here to show us the beauty of our wilderness on a bird's eye view. And you can see how it extends. Very good. I'm happy you're all saying wow. And I'm equally excited like you, saying wow, watching it on my smaller monitor here. This is just magic. And you can see the trees there, be they the marula trees, you can see their white trunks and the green before they lose all their leaves and all their shadows, depending on the direction of the sun. And how beautiful is that, eh? And you can see how I love my job. Take care, you're asking who is flying. The drone is the expert called FAG. FAG is the gentleman I'm filming with today, and he's the one flying the drone. And you can see what a good job he does and how wizardry he does his work. Okay, let's find out what Raf could be doing.
Everyone, we've just been trying to follow Tingana and we've spotted 2 honey badgers. They've just gone up over here. I don't know if we're going to see them again. And now I need to try and get up there, but man, I think we're not going to get up here, Davy. I can just, what a shame, what a shame. 2 of them, hey? 2 honey badgers. We've been saying we've been looking for honey badgers. Oh my word. Oh, that was so cute. Shame. I actually disturbed them. They were sleeping because I came through. I wanted to try and catch up with Tingana like this. But that's just, you know, we're looking for leopard and we get totally sidetracked by a couple of honey badgers. Oh, what a shame. Sorry, guys. I really tried my best, but they just disappeared up over onto this ridge, and it was a pair of them, and off they went. So they just stayed very close to the ground, and they just jumped through the grass. Yeah, and Kirsten's saying maybe they live here. Well, I'm definitely going to have to come back and have a look. So I'm going to leave them. If I follow up behind them there, you know, they were running away from us, so leaving us. I'm not going to follow them. Yes, Davy, are we going to manage to get through there? It's a bit tight, but let's go. Let's give it a gap. Let's just see, nice and slowly. Easy peasy. Okay, everyone, I'm going to try and negotiate this tight squeeze. Let's, in the meantime, head you back to Steve with some tracks.
Honey badgers, oh my word. I don't know what to say anymore. I was going to talk about a track, but all I want to go do now is go find those honey badgers. How lucky is Ralph being this afternoon? Hey, fantastic. Lions, leopard, and honey badgers. Well, we have found for you leopard track, and I'm trying to remember who the new viewer was earlier. We were talking about the tracks, and here we have very likely Tingana's tracks from last night, and you can see that this is the front foot. You can see the back pad here. There's 3 lobes in the back pad. Can you see that? 3 lobes, and it goes around, and there's all this negative space in between the toes. There's 1 toe, 2 toes, 3 toes, 4 toes. This is his left front foot, and you can see where the pad is here, and I draw the outer toe. You see this enormous gap. The outer toe is very wide. Both outer toes are very wide to the pad. Female tracks are a lot closer in there. They're not as big as the males. And looking at my knife here, my knife's about 10 centimeters, so it's almost the same size. So very likely I would say male leopard because of that. And that is the left front, and here is the left back. Much more narrow, still the 3 lobes in the back there. Beautiful, still the negative space and the toes, but a lot more narrow compared to the back pad. And you see that, a lot more narrow. Very characteristic of a back foot of the cat. Remember, the front foot needs to be wide, bigger in most animals, elephant and kudu and all sorts of things, hyena as well. The reason I point out this negative space is because in hyena tracks, which some people can confuse, there's no negative space here. The toes pinch in on this back pad. You don't get this ridge here. But what's also interesting, because yes, well done, we found a male leopard, okay, the tracks, he's heading in that direction, but how fast is it walking? And now to work out distance or speed, you can, I'm going to move my knife away and my book away, you take the the front foot, and then you take the back foot, and you measure the distance between. So if he's walking at a stalk, the front foot is going to land, and then the back foot's going to stand exactly on there. So the further forward the back foot is from the front foot, the faster the animal is walking. And this is very characteristic of a cat that's walking along a road and a cat that's on a territorial sort of mission. They're walking. They want to get somewhere. There's no stalking happening. They're just walking. So now you know we've got a male leopard. He's heading in that direction. So that would be sort of north towards Voitella watering hole, and he's walking quickly. So if you wanted to track him, you need to know that you need to probably walk pretty quickly to catch up with him. But if it's walking very slowly and stalking, then there's a good chance that it's possibly hunting or looking for something. And sometimes you can even see that in the track as they walk along the road. If I put my hand down here, if an animal gets attention towards the right, it turns its foot as it turns its head. Just like if I demonstrate with myself. If I'm walking along and something over to the right gets my attention, I'll kind of turn my body to pay attention to that. And then I'll maybe go off in that direction. But you can often see that with animals if they are stalking or hunting. They'll walk and be turning that way, turning that way, turning that way. So if you're following this animal and you've got tracks moving to the right, There's no point going and checking there. Go into this sort of area on the right-hand side and see. Especially if you lose it, doesn't keep going on the road. Very likely has moved into that direction. Do you agree, Herbie? Herbie's giving me the thumbs up, which is marvelous. Okay, let me gather all my things here. So that was a marvelous track, and this was from last night, so not worth following up. We've already found the leopard, and we're going to be heading back on this way, because in the distance over there, you can't really hear the calls in the background, the calls of the Franklin, the nocturnal call when they say it's time to go to bed, the bushwalk team. Not to bed, but home. We're going to slowly start walking back towards the sunset before it gets too dark. Well, it seems as if we've got our technology in the air, looking just at that.
Right, still pretty good job you're doing there. And we are still enjoying the bird's eye view of our area here. Look at the beauty of all the trees down there and the open spaces that we rarely see. You can even see ourselves down there. That is my game drive car. Thank you, because it says that's perfect. And you can see the sun trying to push down in the western horizon in the background. And the sun is like opposite directly us. And that is very good. Good job you're doing. And you can see how special our game drive car is. And I've been trying to wave at this drone. It's not looking at me. Hello there.
Hello there.
Hi, Fag, well done. And that's us, if you can see. And that's Fag. Someone was asking who was filming there. That's Fag right there. And I'm in front of him, and you can see the great job he's doing. And we are at the Chitwa airstrip. It's a nice open area.
We're coming in from there.
And now we are going to bring our bird down. It has done a great job. It has shown us great views of how things look from the air. And slowly now our drone is coming to land. Fantastic, and we hope it lands safely. It has been cleared by the radar. And there we are. Hello there. Fantastic. Yes, that landing was very good. Experienced pilot. And we can see now the sunset we saw from up in the air, how different it looks. And still beautiful as it was from the air. And now much better. We might hold on here and see the sun pushing down the western horizon. I do not know whether they could ask for anything better than this in the wild. And let's find out what Raf is doing with, or what's happening with Tingana now.
Well, everyone, it's pretty much that cat and mouse story. Here's Tingana just up ahead. But, well, what we've managed to do, what Tingana has managed to do, is shake off the other vehicles, because they couldn't go where this little jeep of a machine can go. So they went off to go and find something else, because that drainage line was too thick. There where we saw the honey badgers, well, we just had a quick glimpse of two of them. So now we're just trying to keep up with Tingana here. And it's not to say that we won't lose him either, because he's definitely going through quite thick stuff here too. So I'm just trying my best. And Darby's helping me there at the back in the crow's nest, just trying to keep us on song with Mr. Tingana. Where's he gone now? Have you got visuals there, Darby? He was coming straight for this fallen down tree. Now I seem to have... Yeah, it's amazing how quickly they disappear in this grass. He was on his way straight here, but then did he cut? And you've almost just got to see those spots in between the grass here. And the light is starting to fade. So we're just trying our best. Let me loop around a little bit quickly before he gets too far away from us and we lose him completely again. Maybe he went for that termite mound. Where are you, buddy? He was just here. I don't see him now. Where'd he go? So Tingana, you don't want to be followed today. Is that what you're telling us? Or are we just missing you? Eugene, it's not really that well known for leopards to team up and hunt together. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's not one of those things that happens that I could say that I've ever seen that kind of thing happen before, because generally they'll actually fight each other for the same territory. So I would pretty much say that that's not going to happen, but like I said before, you can never know what to expect in the bush sometimes. Stranger things have happened. So I'm just going to have to try and relocate him now. He has disappeared in this grass. So he's giving us the runaround, that's for sure. But we'll keep trying. We'll just try and get a little bit closer. Yeah, he's just giving us the slip just in here somewhere. You see, you think he's going in one direction, and then you loop around, and then maybe he's just changed direction. And then that's when we maybe, now I've lost him. And then once you've circled all the way around, then he's maybe moved down into the thicket. So sometimes he just lies down. Maybe he has a little feed on some more buffalo dung or whatever else he was eating on just now. And has he given us the slip? I'm wondering. He might have, hey? He might have given us the slip, because we've lost sight of him. Where are you? Now all you hope for is for an alarm call, that can actually alert you to his presence. But we've just got birds calling off in front of us, Coqui francolins doing their whip, whoop, whip, whoop. Not alarm calls. So he was on this game path. It's quite difficult to see any tracks here. So the only thing I can do is try and loop around again, and I'm just going to be going around in circles now for a little while, but let's go back to the bushwalk team, because it's nearly time for them to head home.
It is indeed. Just up ahead you can see the light is almost completely gone. It's just those last beautiful rays of the sun. How wonderful was that view from the drone? I didn't get to see it, but I have no doubt it was spectacular. Chitwa Dam is always a beautiful place, even without the drone. Stara, ground texture is enormous in the tracking of an animal. For example, the texture here is very hard, and I'm going to put the full weight of my boot there, and you're going to get nothing. But if you come to a more sandier spot, where there's a lot more sand, just like here, and I put my boot down, you can clearly make out the shape of my boot. So also the fineness of the sand, if it's of the soil, I'm calling it sand, but very sandy soil. We were tracking yesterday morning Amber Eyes, and her tracks were enormous. And I was suggesting to everybody yesterday, if you have the option to go to the beach or down to the river, go and have a look at where the really dry sand is. Put down your foot at just as a divot in the soil, and go walk down to the water's edge as it starts getting harder and harder and harder, and see how your track gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the surface of the ground gets a little harder as well. So the softer it is, the more it moves, and the more the difficult it is actually to find the edges of that track, because the soil moves around that. But when you get really nice ground, beautiful tracks can be found that can stay for a very long time. So I'm going to just demonstrate again. That's not the best ground. We had some really nice ground earlier where the tracks were on. That was perfect tracking for leopards. And the thing is when you come to more sandy areas, you can mistake a female leopard track for a male because the sand makes it look far bigger. For example, Amber Eye's tracks yesterday were enormous. They were like this big, which is very big for a female lion. But if you keep walking along, you can find exactly that it is not a female, as the substrate gets a little bit different. Well, seems like David is really enjoying the sunset. Let's wonder if he's having a quiet moment too.
Well, the gentleman who was doing some wizardry with the camera earlier, seeing the bird's eye view of where we are, he has done something very special, and I would call this a money shot. Look at that sun going down, and he framed it on that tree. I'll just keep quiet for a couple of seconds as we all enjoy the sunset. How beautiful is that? And this is what I would call a money shot, or what Fag just did is what he calls, or I call, natural framing. Sunset. And what a way to see it go down. Thank you very much, Fag. We'll move on, and of course, hoping to see the sunrise tomorrow. Very well done. All right, time to move on. That was beautiful, wasn't it? Enjoyed every piece of that, every minute, every second, as the sun was dipping. Cool. Sun goes. Now we start seeing what other creatures will start becoming active. That's how it goes here. The animals also know when the lighting changes, and just like what my friend Raf might have seen that mist, so the nocturnal animals could be starting to prepare themselves slowly to come out, and we'll be seeing them. Night jaws know it's any time now. The world is becoming theirs, and all the rest that have been, roaming around and pulling the shots, to be time for them to head to their hiding places for the night, away from their predators. And we'll continue looking for them. We remain here, looking for any other animals that we could see, but that was beautiful sunset. We've got animals that will not really work with the sunrise or the sunset, like Ellis. Ellis will be there throughout. Haven't seen any today. Would be happy to see some. Maybe see something like a honey badger. That sounds something very nice to see. Some of the animals that when you see them, you're always like, yes, this is the day I would play lottery and win. Or pangolins, for example, advox. Samantha, how are you? And you're asking, what is David's favorite nocturnal animal? All right. I mean, I'll just say one, which is the advoc, which is rather difficult to see, because I can count in all my life as a guide, in the African bush, I've only seen two. And it was sheer luck. I didn't have any guest with me, unfortunately, for both occasions. I saw one crossing the road, and I saw one that was trying to dig for termites, on a termite mound. And that's it. So I would say advocs are my favorite nocturnal animals. And if I would see them, I would be a very happy boy again. Got some birds here. They're still feeding. We got some guinea fowls. They haven't gone to roost yet. Feeding on the grasses, seeds. That's what we'll be feeding on. And then as it gets darker, they are going to roost on top of trees, because that's where they are much safer. We've got predators like Tingana that we just saw that might come and try and sneak on them. So they know they have a few or limited time to keep eating all the seeds they'll get. And then as darkness comes, you'll always see them jumping on top of particular trees. They will always roost on particular trees, and they don't keep changing their places. There's two trees I've been looking carefully near the Chitua Waterhole, and if you look at the base of those trees, they all got white poo or some droppings from these birds, because every night they'll always come and roost there. And wondering why they would come at those trees near the water, maybe thinking, leopards may not get in the water and get up there. But the trees are not very strong. The trees, if a leopard maybe would go up, would easily collapse. Maybe they know that. But, leopards have been known to go for birds, and guinea fowls are not exception. I love the beautiful blue just below the heads. And these are the crested guinea fowls, always moving in big groups. The one thing you don't want to keep as a pet are these guinea fowls, because like every 3 hours at night, they'll go like that, and they call and they're just so loud, and they're quite irritating. But if you want a sure alarm call every 2-3 hours, you can have them as pets. Talking of predators that would eat these guinea fowls, let's go to Ralph.
Well, everyone, he wasn't able to give us the slip between Davy and myself. We managed to spot him again, and it was actually with a little bit of help from our friends, the squirrels. And so we heard the just up ahead of us, and so we followed that sound, and look where he landed up, on the top of a termite mound. And we would have driven straight past him if it wasn't for the squirrels and Davy's sharp eyes in the back. So very much a team effort. Well done. Look at Tingana. Beautiful on top of the termite mound again. And thanks for taking us through that drainage line. I'm going to go back there and see if there's those little honey badgers are making their little home in there. Now, Gina, a drainage system is basically when it rains, all the water sort of moves towards the lowest area, and then it all gathers momentum a little bit, and then it starts to erode that area, and then it goes down towards the river systems. So those get bigger and bigger, and we call it drainage line, those sort of small lines that move towards the rivers. And so he was down in one of those very low-lying areas that was moving towards the rivers. Now, this is very interesting, everybody, because we're not too far from where those Avoca males are on a kill with the buffalo, and Tingana's now heading in that direction. I think it'll be quite silly to move in there, but that buffalo is really stinking now. I wonder if Tingana's picked up on that smell, and he's thinking about going in there. So I think I might just need to let people know on the radio, because we could land up having a few people following, well, you know, moving in at the lions, and here comes Tingana as well. So this could get very interesting indeed. So let me just call in. Stations Ralph here from Wild Earth. I've got Tingana. He's moving up, he's just in the thicket, but moving up Hyena Road straight towards the Avoca males on that buffalo kill. There we go, everyone. We just got a bit of bundu bashing to do here. Sorry about that. Just got to try and keep up. Tingana's walking on this game path, so we can follow him quite nicely on that. And just keep up behind him here. Now, Kimura, that's probably a good call between a male leopard and a female hyena, but I would still put my money on the female hyena. I just need to respond here, sorry. I'm just on the eastern side of Hyena Road. He's walking on one of the big game paths, heading straight towards the Avocas. So, yeah, I still think that female hyena would definitely come up trumps there, because they're so hard. But, you know, in that kind of fight, there, a little bit of a spray. The leopard would maybe defend his kill, for instance, but only up until a point, and then he'll back up, because he knows that those hyenas are tough as nails, and they probably fight right to the death, whereas the leopard maybe give up a little bit earlier than that, you know, and sort of leave the hyena to be. And they pretty much do know how tough the hyenas are, and they never say die. They're like Energizer rabbits, Energizer bunnies. What is it? Never ever stop. So there's a vehicle up ahead here now. Here comes Tingana, moving through. He's going down into that thicket. It's difficult sometimes watching the animal and also trying to navigate all of these obstacles that I have to go through here. But here he is, just here on our right, and he's heading up towards where those lions are. I think he's stopping now. He's having a look. He's still heading in that direction. Sure, sooner or later he's going to smell that there's lions there, and I don't think that that would be a good idea for him to go down. Let's just get a nice view for you here. He has sat down. So I just want to try and get a nice clear visual for you. He's looking down towards where that buffalo kill is. Can you see? Yeah, there we go. Okay, there he is. So I think he was probably going to think twice now before actually going in. He's probably hungry though, and he can smell that meat. So that's why he's come in here. But I don't think that it's going to be very wise, buddy, to go any closer, because those lions, unless they're fast asleep and he could run in and grab a piece, but that would be about it, because then he'd have to go straight up the tree, and those lions with their big fat bellies would be pretty slow, but still be a big risk for him to take, because if one of those lions get hold of him, he's dead meat. He's no match for a male lion. So it looks like he's just contemplating. It's very tempting, isn't it? It's almost like you can smell a lovely meal just over there, but you've got somebody standing guarding it. Bridget, you say that this is tense. I think it is very tense indeed. You're almost willing him not to go down there, because the danger that waits is, it's not going to be a good result, I think. But he's probably quite experienced with lions. Having said that, he might just know exactly what to do. I'm not sure. I've never seen Tingana around lions, and you never know. Now, Matt, you're absolutely right. I don't think that leopards do get to taste buffalo very often, if at all. They do like to eat their dung. But now, if he goes into that drainage, it's going to be almost impossible to follow him. And that's saying a lot. After you just saw what we went through, I could follow him for a little bit, but it looks like he's now realized that there's lions there. Oh. Bashing. I don't know if that's kudus, something just having a crack there in the bushes. But let's see if we can follow. Let's see. Let's just have a look. I can turn here. Okay, I'm going to try and get down there once again. We can't lose sight of him. We do need to hurry. So I'm going to hedge off to David in the meantime while I try and catch up with Tingana.
Well, hopefully, I'm sure Raf will track him down. Raf is very good when it comes to getting leopards. He's a tall boy. He always has very sharp eyes, and he'll need to follow it in the thickets and maybe go around and meet it the other side. What I plan to do, having done all the excitement by the Chitwa Waterhole or the bird's eye view of a beautiful wilderness here, I've got to go find out what could be happening with the avocas that brought down a buffalo. I would think like the last night, but we saw them this morning. You know, the 3 avoca males feeding on the buffalo. So that's my destination now, and find out what could be happening there, how much food is left there, or how much of the buffalo is left. And when we left it in the morning, the buffalo was like facing upside down. And we were debating, could it be the 3 males that brought it down, or could it be the nukuhumas? And then the avoca males were like, you know what, have you done your bit? Out you go. Because at one point, aha, fantastic. Casted just confirmed to me what I was thinking, that the nukuhumas are the ones that actually brought down the buffalo and not the avocas. And as soon as the avocas came in, they told them to leave, which was sad. And that's why maybe there was a bit of a split of some of the 2 young ones from the avoca pride that were not together with the group. Maybe the way they threw them out, it was a bit forceful, and they were like, you have to get out here. Because I also highly doubted, you know, it's possible. We have seen lions, you know, 3 that bring, you know, a buffalo down, as much as it's quite tough. but I really doubted how the three of them would have brought such a huge buffalo down. But well done to the Nkumas, and hopefully before they were thrown out, they had eaten enough. So my plans are to get there, and as Tingana is trying to get close there, we might be seeing a bit of a drama. Hopefully I don't lose signal here. In the next 3 seconds, I'll be right out of this dip. I'm back again. Komora, good question. What animals are the most successful predators? I would say, Komora, there are many of them. There are many of them, depending on what you're looking at. And for example, we might be surprised, even the white-tailed mungus, which are predators when they come out looking for birds or rodents, they're very, very successful. But I would say when it comes to night and the leopards go for their kills, personally, I have given bigger success rates to leopards at night than during the day. I mean, that's for me as a person. But yes, leopards are good. And the white-tailed mungus, when they go out, when they come out at night, because they're very nocturnal, they're good and they're quite successful. I would say 9 out of 10 times when they choose to go for prey, they'll always get it. Hyenas, also do good, but hyenas will do more hunting during the day. But at night, I would still want to stick with the leopards, maybe number 2, followed by the lions. Right, so my destination is to get to the Avocas. I don't know how long that might take me, depending on the road or the traffic of the animals on the way, and see if they're still eating on it or they're still sleeping, because that meal was huge, and I'm sure they'll be having it for maybe the next 2 or 3 days. I've seen certain lions that are called the buffalo lions. That is a place in East Africa called Tsavo National Park. You might have heard of a movie that was called The Ghost in the Darkness. I might be going on another one dip here. Hopefully I don't lose signal. And a big railroad was being built in that area, and people kept disappearing. Some of the workers would disappear, some of the engineers would just disappear mysteriously and never to be seen again. It took a long time, for the workers and the people doing the railroad to know there were lions that would come and hunt and eat people, and they would drag them, never to be seen. What happened after the completion of the railroad was done, I'm talking about 1900 or so, today, the same lions in the same area, given a choice of a zebra and a human being, they'll go for a human being. And we call them the buffalo lions. But the big point is, of course, not many human beings will want to take the risk and go where they are. So they bring down buffaloes, not much small game there. They don't have the wildebeest as many or the zebras. So the biggest or the easiest prey for them are buffaloes. And these particular lions got very short mane. But if you see their legs, they are huge like that. And they specialize in killing buffaloes only. And I'm not sure it's a subspecies, but we call them the buffalo lions. Very short mane, small lions, but very stocky. And the legs are so huge, And 3 of them, like the Avocas, will, without a problem, bring down, a buffalo. They're still there, but they don't breed as much as the other lions that we'd call the Savannah lions. Yep. And then they did a movie there that was called The Ghost in the Darkness. And I think the star guy there was Michael Douglas. We'll still keep looking for anything we'll see on our way as we head to the Avoca males. Sometimes you just drive and maybe see other lions on the way, or maybe even another leopard. Not sure where Hukumuri is, because Tingana is around. And I'm sure they'll always try to do what they can just to keep their separate spaces and not having a conflict. Let's find out whether Raf has been successful with Tingana.
Tingana's finally possibly given us the slip. and I've just decided just to stay on the easier way out of this now, because he was really starting to go into thick stuff and we lost sight of him. And with this kind of light, it's almost impossible to follow this guy in this kind of light. So what I've decided is I want to just try and pop back. We're so close to where those lions are on the buffalo kill. There's every opportunity that he might have slunk around and maybe just going to have a look, because we smelt that buffalo kill as we followed Tingana through the little dip. It's really strong. So that's obviously what he came here for. Whether or not he's now realized that those lions are there or not is another question. So we're just looping back. As I say, we might get lucky and see him again, or he's realized that those lions are there and he's now disappeared off into the darkness, and we'll have to track him tomorrow again, because if that is the case, well, he's gone. Now, just the case for us is to find the easiest way out of this block, which is not always an easy thing. And the other night I was with Ferg when I was following the Nkuhumas, and we lost sight of the Nkuhumas and then subsequently lost them completely. But what was very surprising was, in the dark, I was just taking the easiest route, and quite funny that we landed up right back where we had started. So when people talk about you going in circles in the desert or in the dark, let me tell you, I've experienced it many times, and you can very easily go in circles and you land up in exactly the same spot. And when you start seeing things that seem familiar, it normally is, because you've been there before. It's like deja vu. It's like, weren't we here just now? And Ferg was going, I think that's the same log the lions were playing on. And that was about 20 minutes later when we were trying to get out of the thickets. But right now, at least we've got the drainage line and a little bit of light that we can still see the skyline there. So we know where the sun is at the moment. But once that then gets fully dark, then we'd have to switch on over to the stars and use the stars, the Southern Cross, and also Orion's. Well, the Southern Cross indicates south, and then Orion's belt you can find north from it. So those are the two systems that I use at night. Obviously Orion not always visible, but he is visible most of the time, but the Southern Cross is always visible, so you can always find where south is, except if it's extremely overcast. Then it's very difficult to find direction either way. And those are the times when I've also been very disorientated. Walking in this bush as well, when it's very flat. Just going over a small little branch there. And you can get completely confused and don't know where you are and which way you need to go. Sometimes just need to get up on top of a termite mound and try and see something, anything that's prominent, try and then work towards that. And the thing is, if you're in one of these blocks, the best thing to do is to try and keep a straight line. And then what you start doing, we call it dead reckoning. You line up 2 or 3 trees, and then when you get to the first tree, you line up another one behind that second, third tree, and you keep doing that, and then that can at least keep you going in a straight line, which does help if you need to get out of somewhere, if you're pretty lost. At least you can go straight, you land up back on the road, and then at least you can find your way out. There's a lot of vultures up here in the tree, and they're all waiting around. They just have a nice look. Let's actually just stop, and it's quite eerie. We're right near that buffalo carcass, as I say, but there's a drainage line or a very big dip in between us and the lions. But the evidence is here that these vultures are sitting watching that dead buffalo, almost drooling and waiting for these lions to move away, that they could then go in and have their fill. Very patient are vultures. They'll sit here for days, waiting and hoping. And then one will maybe go down and have a try, and the lions will chase it off, and then they wait again, wait and wait. It's a beautiful evening now starting to come through. I just also wanted to stop and just see if there's any sounds that could push us in any direction. All right. So I'm going to try and get closer to these lions. Let's go and see if Tingana does make an appearance. But off to David. He's in night vision.
Yes, I'm already in the night vision, and surely I'm sure Raf will get one of those two predators, either Tingana the leopard or the avoca males. And here's something nice that either of those two cats would love to feast on. And we've got the kudus here, got the greater kudu, and I'm not sure they're being interested looking at us or enjoying the night vision. There we go. At least they were there to entertain us. There's one there. I'm not sure that's a yellow, it's a little different. Let's just move forward and see. There's one that's coming up at the same spot they were on top of that tower mound. Let's see whether it's going to come up there or it's going to give us a miss, like Tingana. I think it's giving us a miss, but it's always so nice to see these animals in infrared. It's just walking behind there, but that's fine. So what are you going to do? We have our infrared now, and I got my spotlight, and now it's time to look for the night animals that you might be lucky to see. Okay, let's all have a night vision. Sinak, you're asking the rarest night animal I would see. I would just say one and say a honey badger, Sinak. A honey badger, because it's always very difficult to see the honey badgers. And when they come out, they are always on the move. Unless you see them digging something on the ground, for me, I would say the most difficult animal to see at night is the honey badger. I would like also to, inquire from my colleagues and they tell me which animal they think is most difficult to spot. One, they are small, and unlike, say, a nardvac that you can see from a distance, or a pangolin that you can see from a distance, the scrub hares, with the large eyes and large ears, you can always see them and coming on the middle of the road. You're not going to see the honey badgers in the middle of the road. So I would say for me, the honey badgers are pretty tough to see, and when you see them, it's quite special. Again, as I said, because of their size and the speed they move on while on the ground. When they're going either to hives or to tree crevices to look for honey, something like that could be very difficult. All right. See how beautiful sky we got in the background. Good job Fag is doing. He's enjoying the beauty of the African wilderness. Pablo, you also say, what about a pangolin? Where I would not want maybe to think a pangolin is because pangolins, certain times, Pablo, they've been seen during the day, which is quite unusual, They're very nocturnal animals, and they dig themselves holes. If you see a pangolin where they live, they dig holes where a normal-sized human being like me can go inside and stand up inside a burrow of a pangolin. You see, pangolins are that big. They're not very big, animals. But what I'm saying, once in a while, you'll see pangolins during the day out of the blues, either shifting from one place to another or being caught late or wanting to change their burrows or looking for food. We have seen pangolins during the day. But honey badgers, I do not remember anybody who have ever seen one during the day. I haven't seen them, and all the times I've seen the honey badgers, it's always at night. But yes, Pablo, a pangolin would be some exciting animal to see also. Hukumunga, you say a porcupine. Yes, a porcupine, I would say, if I read them in the term or in levels, the most difficult one to see, I would put honey badger there, pangolin there, aardvark there, and then maybe porcupine. Porcupine because many times porcupines have even been known to get so close to human beings, and they don't fear people. Some camps in the lodges, if you open your eyes, you'll always see them. Then you can get that bush baby there. See that, Fag? Oops, sorry, my apologies. It's a bush baby, but it keeps jumping from one place to another. Do you want me to switch off my light? Boop! Just jumped across the road. And it's time for the bush babies to come out. I'm not going to see anything else. It's just very good. They're always a bit shy. And just jump to the other side of the road. So let's see if we go a little closer, we can see it. How nice to see the bush babies with their small little sizes, but being so agile. Thank you. Say you'd like to see a bush baby. Let's find out. Oops. Sorry, I just saw the eyes. They always come out. You see their fog? It's one somewhere there. But this is not very patient. Let's see if it's going to settle down. It's the same one we were seeing before. It was around there, fog, but it just jumped. There, I see it there. I don't know whether I need to move forward. Let me move forward, fog. It's very jumpy. It's on this tree here. Let me just move forward, fog, if you allow me, and see whether you can see this bush baby here. It's very jumpy. Hold on for a second. See if they're going to see it. You only see the orange eyes, then they keep moving from one branch to the other as they look for food. So, oops, there. Is it there, fog? There. Sorry, I went to the car a little bit. It's right there. Going down. It's bush baby there. Very good. All right, we'll just wait and see whether this bush baby will settle down or look for another one. But in the meantime, let's go to the avoca males.
Well, everyone, we've actually come back to where the Avocas killed that. Well, not the Avocas, where they stole that buffalo. Two of them have just become a little bit mobile, and shame. I must say sorry to Dave when I get back to camp, because he was on his way here to the lions, but obviously Tungana made his way over here to the lions as well, and so there were two of us almost in exactly the same spot. But yeah, I did say that he must come over to the lions while I was following Tungana, and then it sort of became a bit of spaghetti with them both joining in the same encounter or sighting. So there is another one of the lazy males now, who's fed himself to the brink and lying right near to this buffalo carcass. Now, just careful, everybody. It is quite nasty, so anybody that's squeamish, yeah, it's quite a sad state for the buffalo there. And as we can see just over there, the ribs showing up, but there's still a lot of meat on this animal. So if you're squeamish, look away now. Lots of ribs poking out, and we heard the lions earlier actually crunching down on them. Now, what is this male getting up to? He's chewing on some branches. And he's got some meat stuck between his teeth. See how fat they are. Yes, they've eaten nicely, hey? Now, Anu, it seems the alpha male, I wouldn't know for certain, but it does look like the one, he's got quite a bit of a bigger mane than the other two. And I think looks like the biggest one. It's normally the biggest one that is. It's not always, but very often is the biggest one that lands up being the alpha male because he's the strongest. He's going to come out this side now. And I think it might be this one. And it might be that other one that was lying here and then got up and walked away as well. So I'm just going to drop the light now down a little bit. Just look straight with the infrared. And once they get a little bit further away, then I do know that you lose a little bit of visibility. So then, and I also can't see them in the dark then. So I do like to just shine a bit. I wonder if this is them moving off. It's quite possible. They all seem to have moved off in the same direction. I don't know if they're going to leave this carcass now, because there is a lot of meat here, as I say. This buffalo lying on its back. But you can see there the hindquarters, the rump, everything is still there. and the front quarters on the shoulder also, and right through the ribs there. If this gets left, the hyenas are going to have an absolute party here tomorrow morning, and I think the vultures as well. It's going to be chaos here. So this is not finished. And look, the whole neck still intact, the head all still there. So there is plenty to go around, and it is really starting to be very stinky. And that's obviously what brought Tingana in this direction. And I can tell you there's going to be hyenas lining up to get stuck in here tonight if these lions have moved off. Child of the universe, if Tingana does make a kill here nearby, the lions could very easily take it away from him. But he's always got that very good trick up his sleeve where he'll drag it and take it up to a very nice tall tree, and especially those marula trees that have a very long trunk. That's quite difficult for the lions to get up. And also from that position, he can stand there and protect the kill from that particular point. So he'll have all the necessary tools to be able to deal with the lions, and the best is to go up a nice big tree that the lions wouldn't be able to get up to the point where the leopard can, because they are extremely good climbers, and especially carrying a big body of meat. It's not even a piece of meat. They can carry, massive amounts and big kilograms. A whole impala ram or a young kudu, they can take it up that tree. It's incredible, the power that the leopard has in the shoulders, and also enabling with those claws, into the tree, and being able to pull and hoist that all the way up and then pin it in a fork. So very interesting. And obviously, that was the entire kill site. This animal met its fate right there. I think these lions ambushed it here. Julie, there's always a chance that the Nkuhumas could come back for this buffalo. Absolutely. There's a big chance that could happen. I'm just hoping, first and foremost, they go back for those two youngsters, which I'm pretty sure that's going to be top priority on their mind. I think they just wanted to escape the area, get away from these evokers. But these evokers are heading in the direction where those youngsters were this morning, but it's been a long day, so the youngsters could have moved. The Nkuhumas could have returned for all we know and got those youngsters and moved out, and we might have just missed them. All of this is definitely possible. I'm just hoping, as I say, for the better of those two youngsters, that they've actually been reunited with their pride. Because, that would be sad if they get separated and we don't get to see them again. But I'm pretty sure they're of age. They should be all right. Unless they meet some unlucky customers in between. But even then, they are young enough. They're athletic enough. They can run. They can climb. They can, so there's... it's not as bad as if they were, a year or so younger, or a few months younger even. And they would be weaker, they wouldn't be as athletic, and they wouldn't have their wits about them as much. So I think they should be fine. I'm just hoping for the best, holding thumbs that the Nkuhumas come back and pick them up. Now, Lord Mila, it seems the Birminghams have actually headed on south. So they've willingly sort of left the area, but they seem to come back in and out every now and then. Whether or not they've sort of relinquished this territory to the evoker males still remains to be seen. These are up-and-coming youngsters. They're of size, but they haven't got their full manes, but they are looking like very strong, good-looking males. And they were able to dispatch the Nkuhumas with such ease on this kill. And I think they could be getting pretty close to challenging the Birmingham boys, even if they came back. Once again, though, who's going to tell? It's like that clash between Hukumuri Tingana. Who's going to be able to, where are you going to put your money? I still think that, for the time being, experience counts. But, the Birmingham boys, just as much as Tingana, they're possibly living on their last little bit of dominance that they've got. And maybe maybe it's time to, there's going to be upheaval, there's going to be change. It's sooner or later, it's going to happen. So whether it happens now or in a month's time or in 6 months' time, it's the beauty of, the circle of life and bringing in new blood and new genes and youngsters. Oh, what was that? Some branches breaking near to us on this side. Don't know what. I don't know if it's these lions moving through. I heard it a little bit earlier as well. With there being meat here, that's why, if you're wondering why I'm actually staying here with nothing happening, because we're sitting on a little gold mine here. There could be hyenas running in, there could be leopards coming in, there could be anything. So that's why I'm just sitting here for a little while, and while we're almost, running out of time. So I would say, this is the best spot to be in this particular moment, because we might see chaos erupt. And so we'll keep our spotlight out, we'll keep listening around, and while I've got my spotlight out, it seems David does too.
All right, Ralph, keep listening and you'll tell us what you hear. I'm also listening for example, if we'll hear any hyenas calling, or maybe another leopard sowing. Well, that was not a leopard, that was me, which could be quite exciting. Today we had some cricket game with some Sri Lankans who are visiting a lodge next to our camp, and I've never understood how that game is played. And I went there first to watch and then maybe see if I could play, but I could not understand the rules. And while we were playing, a ball was thrown and there was an impala from a distance, and we thought the impala wanted to come and join the game being played. But Fag with me here did very good, and I hear Fag was the player of the day, right, Fag? Well, we in South Africa, we lost, but we think Fag did very well. All right, Kasi. Fag says he'll take it. He'll take the honor, because I think as much as we lost the game, right?
Yeah, we were on the losing team.
Yes, but I think we played better. Yes. And it was so funny when one of them said it's the first time for them to beat South Africans, but away from home. But anytime South Africa, we are in Sri Lanka, they never come close. We'll always beat them fair and square. So it was so exciting for them to say the first time they're beating South Africa away from home. Trying to get chameleons now, or any night jars. My wish of honey badger, possibly, if it could show up. Pangolin maybe, advac. This is how they come out. Brad, you're asking if all predators are more active at night. I would say so, because out of my experience, they tend to see better. And if they need to do a chase, it's much cooler for them. For example, the Kuma lions were seen the night before last. Or was it last night? And where they were found today, they had gone over 20 kilometers, which means they get more active at night. Tingana now, where he is, if you're going to stay there, and tomorrow morning we go out on a game drive looking for him, we might get him on the other side of the property or altogether outside the property. Hyenas also the same. So I would say predators are more active at night and they move more. But of course, if they got a kill, if they have eaten, there is always chances. For example, the avoca males, we found them there, and I think that kill was from last night. I would not say 100% sure, maybe 99% sure, we'll get the avoca males same spot tomorrow. They have no reason to leave because they got some food there. But when they don't, is when they move lots and lots of kilometers or miles per night. Again, it's cooler and they tend to see better than prey. And if they're looking for food, then that's the best time for them to hunt. And a classical example is that buffalo that was hunted by the Nkuhumas and you got a feeling it was hunted at night. From what we saw in the morning, the hunt was at night. So they tend to do better at night. So they'll have every reason to move. Come on, come on, come on, come on, chameleon. It'll be a good thing for me to see. Haven't seen one for quite some time, right, Fug? Yes. Yeah, Fug thinks because... Aha. Very good. I'm going to improve on my singing. Or maybe you might sing with the Fug and maybe make a very good duet. But let's find out what Fug... I'm sorry. Oh, not Fug now. What Ralph has to tell us about the buffalo carcass.
Sounds like lots of fun going on in David's game drive. But well, we've just been sitting here, we're hearing all sorts of noises off in the bushes, but not seeing anything just yet. And we've also heard a little bit of sort of type lion noises, but we're not seeing them. I wonder if they've gone off for a drink. That would make sense after all this meat that they've eaten and lying here all day. Quite easily that they have. But well, for the time being, we're still just sitting and watching and waiting for something to come along and gather the prize. And that is the stinky, smelly buffalo that now is really stinky, smelly. It's starting to smell very bad. Joy, I think that would be putting it a little bit too far. I think that's probably still, even now, it's probably about at least 3 or 4 times his weight. It is huge. And there's all the neck, there's all the rump, there's all the front quarters. Nah, definitely not. The only thing you'd be able to do is come and have a chew on it. But that's very thick skin there as well. So even that, I mean, is very difficult to chew through. So that's why buffalo is almost purely a lion and hyena meal. It's almost designed for them, especially lions, you know. But obviously hyenas can eat just about anything. So leopards, yeah, they'll come and have a scratch around and a bit of a bite to eat on there, but they're not going to be eating too much, and definitely not hoisting that up into a tree. They might be able to, cut off a piece with their carnassial shear, which is their very sharp teeth on the side. It's used for slicing, almost like the natural knives inside their mouth. They could cut off some, for instance, a hind quarter, just one of those legs there. Could definitely be hoisted up into the tree, but you'd have to cut through there and also have to spend some time working on it. But it's quite eerie sitting here knowing that any animal could pitch up here, any of the predators. You could have from a genet to a lion to a hyena. Now, James, you're asking what was my highlight of today with my sightings? Sure, I have to say, spotting Tingana again, definitely one of them, and also that little family of cheetah. So I can't really pick between them. Honey badger, the honey badger. Thanks for reminding me. How could I forget? The honey badger that none of you got to see. That is my highlight of the day. Sorry, guys, but that definitely has to be hands down the best. But coming in close second and third, Tingana and the cheetah family, and then obviously also these Avoca boys. Nice to see them on this. And, well, look at what we also saw with those young female lions looking for the rest of the Nkuhuma pride. That was fascinating too. So it has really been a full cat day. It's been wonderful. And even a badger joining, 2 of them. So that was wonderful. And we thought Tingana had given us the slip. Then we caught up with him. Then he came down here. Then he gave us the slip again. Then we caught up with him. And then finally we actually gave up and said, you know what, Mr. Tingana, you need to go off on your own. You've earned it. So, well, and unfortunately this buffalo met an unlucky end. But, well, that's the way that life works out here, isn't it? The Nkuhumas killed it, then the other guys took it over. But, well, it's been another wonderful day. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to the entire team, the CAMOPs, everybody, wonderful people in FC. Most of all, I want to say thanks to my co-colleagues, the guides, and Steve and David, especially being out this afternoon, Taylor this morning, and thanks most of all to you. Have a good evening, everybody. Goodbye. For now, we'll see you tomorrow.